Hi, hello. Uh, it's just like me, isn't it, to release what 2 to 3 more special episodes and then decide, you know what? We're gonna go back to like episode 3 or 4 and make a part 4. Uh, it's okay. The numbering doesn't make sense. It's 2 different series. It's a main series and a special episode series. Who cares? Whatever. Mugetsu, thank you for coming back, helping me talk about Nier and all that. How are you?
Good, good. Honestly, feeling major burnout from that game. Like, I'm pretty sure I told you, but one time I did Route C, I believe, with all the weapons, and I thought I had all of them, but I was missing exactly one, and I couldn't go back, so I had to replay the route all over again and speedrun it. And I had to do, of course, D because I was stupid and I didn't save right before the boss, so I had to do another hour. And then ending E was a good part 1 redo. It's just like, dude. So I'm gonna platinum it. But yesterday, I told my friend, Compulsive, I told him, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna delete this game. I'll just platinum it in a couple months because I am burned out. I cannot stand to walk the same routes I did that whole time unless I start doing those. There was like I saw that there was like some kind of skip for the Lost Shrine where you can just do like a combo and you'll go up before if you attack cancel your heavy attack. I was like, that's the only way I'm gonna be able to do it because I cannot stand opening all those damn doors. I can't do it anymore. It's just goodness, that a lot of that game design did not age well.
You see, I meant personally, but like, yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
might
no,
as well
this
get
game
right
is
into it.
personal to me. This
Yes.
there's this some of the stuff this game did to me is personal. Okay, I've been waiting for this because I wanted to talk a bit of some crap about this game because it ruined me. It ruined a good week of my life.
Listen, at least since the last time that we recorded to now, I did Platinum V 1.2, and I didn't even plan on doing it, but I also Platinum Replicant V 1.0, the Japanese PS3 copy. Like, I everything that you're saying about the Lost Shrine is just something that it pains me so much every time I had to go back, especially at the beginning of a run where it's like, oh, cool, let me do these block puzzles. Yes, I've already proven every single time that these block puzzles, I know how to do this. You don't need to test me on this every single time. Can we just skip this? No? Oh, okay,
And what's
fine.
the
Thank you,
point
game.
with the plot puzzles? It's just like an artificial gameplay lengthen, right? There's just no point. There's no explanation to why there's these giant blue boxes in there. It really doesn't make sense.
Listen, obviously the Shadow Lord is putting it there. You know, he wants us to be sure that we're smart enough. We need to prove that we have a bit of an IQ, even though we as a small kid could figure out blocks anyways. He just wants to be sure that we're smart before he takes over our body.
That does sound like a Yoko Taro
We're
thing
just
to do.
writing
It
canon now.
does. Yeah.
Well, okay. Now we took a hard turn right into it. Let's just go from like at least mile overhead. I assume you have your complaints, but overall, now that you've gone ending A through E, prologue, prologue, all of that, how are you feeling about V 1.2?
I mean, it's a pretty good game. It's just got some little bugs about it that really irk me, but like it was a really good way to revisit it. Most of all, because I didn't play V 1.0, like I didn't play original Replicant. I played Gestalt. It was good though. Really enjoyed hearing everyone's voices all over again. That was definitely a plus. Hearing Laura Bailey, terse up probably the biggest storms I've ever heard in fiction in general. Of course, the graphics are
Yes.
a literal eye blessing. Like, there's no way you could look at that game and say that it's ugly unless you're like trolling. Because have you seen Kaine? Have you seen her? Because I thought from the trailer alone she looked beautiful, but then when I was playing the game, I was just like, ha! And don't get me started on Yona. Okay, Yona looks perfect. Like, goodness, that hair. They slayed with her design in this game. Like, this game definitely benefited from using the Automata engine, and that's why I just hope Reincarnation is gonna kill it on mobile because it's mobile. Yeah, it can kind of look like consoles, but it's just But yeah, I'd say my biggest highlight about the game, besides the remade soundtrack, is the graphics because I just never, even though it sucked going through those areas again, I still couldn't get over how good they looked.
For me, of course, well, No surprise, definitely my game of the year. I love this game, everything about it, even the little annoying things that are in the game. I love it because somehow I forgive it. Like with Gestalt, I was definitely annoyed with all the exact same problems, but the very fact that V1.2 does it again, I don't understand if I'm being too easy on the game, but I love that they did the same mistakes again because it feels like they're not trying to whitewash that the original game wasn't that good. So there's something about it that I actually really like the fact that all of that stuff from endings A to D are still annoying, except ending E. That one I do have to complain about, but I'll probably get there when we get there. But overall, V1.2, I love this game. Definitely my game of the year. It's probably going to be my game of the year, probably because there's nothing else this year that I really care about anymore. And if anything, E3 has also beaten me down to realize that maybe next year I won't care either. So thank you, video games. I guess you died with Replicant V1.2 because there's nothing after this for me.
Yeah,
Thank you, video
I
games.
guess I kind of share the same opinion. It's still my game of the year. I want to say I don't fully share what you see, but at the same time I do. Where it's like the fact that they repeat the errors that were in Gestalt. It's like they remade a lot of elements in this game, like the combat, but then it's really interesting that they wouldn't take out those little things like the overabundance of doors that were clearly used to help load out the rest of the level in the original game, but then they do absolutely nothing here because you can even peek behind the wall and see the roof still there, so there's nothing to load. It's just, and the fact that there are
Yep.
loading screens. Okay, so yeah, for the little things, it kind of adds to the charm, I'd say. But the one thing that I can't get over is the fact that there's loading screens in the game. It just doesn't make sense. They, as much as they could have left in the annoyances like the puzzle, the backtracking, the loading screen, in my opinion, unless they just wanted to keep the lore parts in there, inexcusable for me. That's my only
Mm.
gripe that I will just never forgive. But the rest of the game, I'm a bit on the forgiving side. It, like I said, it adds to the charm, I would say. But it's just interesting that they chose to remake certain parts and leave other parts as they are.
Now, I'm glad that at least the gameplay got fixed because, I mean, come on, the gameplay is just super uninteresting. That one, like, for some reason, even though I'm talking about how, for the most part, a lot of the annoying things are still in there, I'm glad the gameplay isn't, though, just because the actual gameplay itself for the original game, like, we talked about it for 8 to 10 hours about it, and we gave the gameplay, like, maybe 10 minutes of airtime, and not even. Like that's what kind of gameplay we're talking about here. So I'm glad that they fixed that because it nothing about the gameplay in the original was charming. It was just like, oh, I guess I have to do this to get more of the things that I actually like. So that being changed really doesn't bother me because while that was a complaint in the original, I think all these structural things in the original were probably the bigger complaints more than anything else. So it feels weird because I feel like I'm giving this game way too much slack, which I probably am, but I also feel like I hate it. I feel like I have to respect the fact that they're like, our original game was not good. We are going to present it as closely as we
Hmm.
can, but I'm very glad that they just kind of understood that the gameplay is something that is this really integral to the vision? No, you don't really need to know that the original game had bad gameplay. You just kind of need to know that it just was a good blueprint for what Automata would eventually build off of to become the magnificent game that game is.
Yeah, I guess I see that. I kind of view it as the integral kind of side of it, where it was important that the game maybe came out like it was, because then it was important lessons for future games. Because as far as I remember, Nier wasn't that successful when it first started, right?
Correct. I mean, development company that Yoko Taro was with, Kavia, that pretty much did most of
Mhm.
the Drakengard games and Nier. I think by the time that Drakengard 3 came out, I think Kavia was already gone, and Nier was the
Yeah,
game that killed them.
from what I remember, Automata is the one that blew up everything, and of course that was a million times better than Gestalt. Which I was gonna say, I did go back and try a bit of Gestalt after completing everything in the game and all that, and I gotta admit.
rough.
I don't want to be so harsh, but that game's kind of a piece of shit. Like the combat,
Yes.
the ridiculous way that you swing your weapons, like to where you're basically dislocating your
Yes.
shoulder. The weird,
Yep.
it sounded like they were toy weapons. Like it sounded like the
Yep.
weirdest PS2 sound effects, and the graphics were honestly very poor. I don't even remember how the colors looked in that game because it was just ugh. And I don't know why I think this, but now when I go back to Gestalt to listen to that soundtrack, I'm almost turned off by it. Like the remastered soundtrack,
Ooh.
which I know we can get to in a bit, that soundtrack is just miles better. Like I tried listening to you know which track is the ultimate weapon? That one. So
Yes.
I really, really, really love the new version. Like that is my favorite track in the game. But when I go back and listen to the other one with no vocals, it's like this ain't really doing it for me. And then I didn't delete it from my music library, but I removed it from the Nier playlist because I was just like, ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm in my honeymoon phase with the soundtrack still. Maybe eventually I won't be repulsed by it, but I just much prefer the new soundtrack to where I don't know what's wrong with me. I really don't know. The Lost Shrine, the Lost
Okay.
Shrine
I
in
gotta mention.
particular,
Go for it.
that one I know I won't warm up to. The original has really weird audio compression, I noticed, to where it doesn't have so it doesn't it sounds like they are already trying to emulate that it's in a large echoey place, while when you play the new
Mm.
one and you go to the Lost Shrine, you just kind of your brain just kind of makes up the whole echo chamber kind of thing. Like it sounds like it's echoing, but the old one they put it already in the audio file and it just doesn't sound right.
Mm. Okay, one thing I do have to mention because it's literally the only error I can remember from the 8-hour spoilercast that we did, and it's been bothering me just this entire time. I feel look, this is just complete non sequitur. It's just that I feel like I need to have it on record that the fight with the grimoire in the library for Emil's mansion, that wasn't a grimoire noir. That was apparently grimoire red rum or something along those lines. And apparently it was the girl from Weiss's short story. So I feel like I just want to have that on record since this is a technically a part 4. So I just
Are you
want to do
talking
the
about in
correction for that.
Emil's mansion? Is that what you're talking about? Okay, yeah.
Yes, correct. That boss fight. Yeah. That was the only thing that I thought was factually wrong with what I said. So now that I've said that, I can move on. So gameplay, yeah, I think we just kind of agree that V1.2 is just an improvement in every single
Yeah, I
form,
mean, I'd
right?
honestly even say that's probably the biggest reason I would ever replay it is to enjoy the combat. Most of all, with the music that happens. Like, of course, I'm still gushing with the soundtrack, but the Lost Shrine is, despite the doors, is my favorite place to have combat because the combat version of the song. While I wouldn't really listen to it often on its own, like I've been trying to make those 30-minute loops of the vocal tracks, the vocals onlys, hitting enemies in
Mhm.
that game or doing I'm trying to remember what's the one I used. The magic I use the most is the one where you have clones of yourself. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called, but you make the dome and you go over. Doing that while hearing the song for the Lost Shrine blew my pants off. Like it was so good. That was the only highlight I looked forward to on my B, C, and D route. I just really wanted to kill Shades while listening to that. So it's like I didn't get that same feeling with Automata. Yeah, Automata does have a good soundtrack, but it's like the combo, the combination of hitting enemies and hearing the song doesn't hit me as hard in any other video game as it does in Replicant V1.2. Like that is crazy stuff. Most of all, when it fades into the combat song and then it fades out, that hits the spot for me.
Oh man, if we're gonna talk the soundtrack, if we're gonna go here, I have not listened to the original Gestalt and Replicant soundtrack at all because V1.2 lives up to its name, and I don't know how they did it. I still cannot fathom the idea that they went to a decade old album and said, hey, here's extra parts that fit in so well that you feel like something is missing if they're not there. It is literally a version 1.2 bump up for almost all of these songs. Now, you are talking about the Shrine song, which,
The Incomplete Stone.
yes, the Incomplete Stone. So, your bone to pick is that one. Mine is Cold Steel
Mm.
Coffin. Cold Steel Coffin is one where I'm just like, this doesn't sound horrifying. Like Cold Steel Coffin, what I loved about the original is that when you go into the area, you just feel so uncomfortable there that you have these. You can tell it's human voices, but it sounds just a little off. That entire town just is horrified by your presence there. All of that just works so well for the song itself in Replicant and Gestalt, where it all just connects. But the problem is that V1.2's version of Cold Steel Coffin sounds way too clean, so it doesn't sound as horrifying. So it makes the villagers of the area sound a little bit more normal than they did in the original game. And that's the one where I was like, you kind of butchered this one a little bit. Like, it still sounds great, but the problem is that, like, it sounds great. It sounds too clean. Like, I prefer the original one, but then again, the additions that they have that weren't in the original song are still really good. So, like, I'm never gonna go and create a playlist where I replace Cold Steel
Mhm.
Coffin. I'm just always gonna regret, you did
Yeah,
this,
you're
didn't
actually
you?
right. While you're saying this, I'm listening to both of them at the same time, and the original is
Hmm.
doing exactly what I was talking about with Incomplete Stone, where it's making the echo effect. Like I can hear the voices like as if they're surrounding my room right now, and it definitely does sound a
Hmm.
lot more eerie. Like it does sound creepy. Well, so in this regard, the echo effect does it better. But see, now I'm listening to the Incomplete Stone, and I can't do it. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I do like the new one, but it is not as good as the old one. But I still kind of got the uncomfortable feeling when I went to the Airy, but that's probably just because I haven't played Gestalt in a long ass time before this remaster came out.
I will say this though, once you're done with the Lost Shrine, when you're headed to the Shadow Lord's castle, and this is something that wasn't in the original, like they actually added this in. It plays Snow and Summer
Hmm.
as you're going up into the
Yep.
Shadow Lord's castle, and holy shit, every single time that I had to finish it and I was climbing up to get to Yona and Snow and Summer played, I was just so excited every single time because the combat music for that song kicks so much ass that I was just like, yeah, I know it's ending D because I didn't save at the Lost Shrine, so I had to
Hmm.
do this run again. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and play this song, and now I'm excited. I am still always so impressed with this soundtrack that eh, there are other games that have one song that you're like, wow, that was the one track I'll remember. And then V1.2 says, yeah, here's the thing. We're going to take an album that already is made up of all the best tracks of other video games, and then we're going to make it better. I don't know what the hell was going on at the Manaka team. Whatever was in the water, I hope they keep drinking it because the soundtrack is such an elevation that I'm pretty sure that because we're recording this, I'm going to have to listen to the original one, and I'm probably not going to finish it because I'm going to get to a point where it's like, oh yeah, this is the song, this is the song. Oh, you looped. You didn't play the part that's missing. And then I'll have to tell myself, wait a minute, it's not missing. It's an addition that fits so well, you only
Yeah,
think it's
I
missing.
would just say
That's
Emmy Evans and Keiichi Okabe-san, they were just like, let's fuck shit up. And they did it. That's what happened. They just got an idea in their head, say, hey, why just remake the bass part of the game and let's just destroy the soundtrack? Let's make a soundtrack that's so good that it'll never be topped even by our own future games. Just screw it. And I'm like, hey, more power to you. Go ahead. Because I bought that day one. It's crazy soundtrack, man. I don't even think on this one there was a single track I disliked. I think in the original there were a couple songs that I didn't really vibe with, but in this remake, I liked every single song on the track. Like I put the whole album on shuffle every day, at least once in the morning when I'm waking up. As soon as I wake up, I throw on the Incomplete Stone, and then I go shuffle from there. And it is always a good morning in my house, always.
I think Dance of the Evanescent, the one that plays whenever you first get into the ballroom for the Shadow Lord's castle, I think that's the only one where I'm like, "Eh, I could probably skip this one," but that's just because it goes on way
Yeah,
too
I,
long and
I kind
starts
of felt the
becoming a little
same. I
bit
remember when I
discordant.
whenever I would go into the ballroom for my second route, or all the different other playthroughs, I wasn't really blown away. But yeah, it's probably just because it's so long that you spend in there. Like that's probably the longest level that you're in the game, as far as I'm concerned, as you go through.
Oh, no, no. I mean just the song itself, not the location. Like specifically talking about the
Mhm.
entire album, there really isn't a track that I skip except that one because by the time that I get like a minute and a half in, I'm like so specifically with that song, it starts with a ballroom theme that is literally just Yona's theme. It's da
So you're
da
saying the
da
track is really
da
long, because I didn't
da
even notice
da
that.
da da. Oh yeah, no, no. So if you listen to the album version, basically it starts with that, but then it progressively falls off the rails. But the song is like 4.5 minutes long, so it falls off the rails like at a minute 30. So you just continuously hear it fall off a cliff, and it's like you could have just cut this track to like 2 minutes, and I would have understood it. And I feel like for the album itself, that does kind of bother me because it flows so well that even when you get to this point, it's such a hard turn to be able to hear a ballroom track, but then it just keeps going. You're like, oh, okay. Song of the Ancients Fate is next, so I need to cut you off. I don't really
Yeah,
need to
I do
listen to
see what you're
this
talking
anymore.
about. I see the length of this song. I just heard the off the rails part, and yeah, I can't believe I didn't even notice this. I was late to it, but it's probably because at this point, whenever I listen to this stuff in the morning, it just becomes like a sort of white noise for me, where my ears are so used to it that I don't even pay attention to details in the song anymore. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, trust me. There's a whole bunch of things in this album that like I just continuously pick out that I'm just like, "Oh my god." There's just so much stuff here that they really fixed. I think Bluebird, the boss theme that plays whenever you're fighting Hansel
Hmm.
and Gretel at the top of the shrine, like I really didn't like that song that much in the original, but then in V1.2 they just add so much more to it that even though it's most of these are just pretty much the same song, but the small little additions that they make to it make me go, "Oh, you know what? That's not a skip now. That's a song I actually want
Absolutely.
to listen to." Like I still can't. So that's the thing. Even though I'm saying that that one song, the ballroom song, is one that I want to skip, the very fact that you have an album of 3 discs, about 40 to 50 tracks, and you're telling me I skip one of them, that's incredible. That's what is that like over a 90% of the album I don't skip. When there are albums that I love in higher regard that are like 10 or 12 tracks that always has one song I skip, like, that's incredible. That's crazy to think that you have all this music and maybe there's one track that I'd probably skip. And I'm so glad that they fixed the problem where in the album they have all of Yona's renditions back
Right.
to back to back, as well as Ashen of Dream. Because by the time that I finish either disc in the original Gestalt and Replicant soundtrack, I'm like, I'm tired now. I don't want to listen to this anymore. Skip, 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 skip. Ah, perfect. Dark Colossus destroys all. There we go. Now we're back on track.
Absolutely.
So I guess I probably should have mentioned this earlier on. The main thing that we're trying to do is only discuss things that are new to V1.2 because we did 8 to 10 hours of the original. We don't really need to tread old ground. So what I want to see is that there's things about this album that are additions that yes, to every song. I don't think that there's that many additions that I can complain about besides for me Cold Steel Coffin and yours the Incomplete Stone. I want to talk about the new songs that they added. So let's go ahead and pick on the worst one right now. Halua, her track, her song exists. It's a song. Any
I'm
opinions from you?
trying to remember. Halua. Yeah, I remember this one wasn't that great to me. It's definitely one of the ones that don't make my eyes shoot up when I listen to the whole album. Like I'm like, that's a Nier song. Yeah, sure, that's a Nier song. But then if like Deep Crimson Foe plays, I'm like, oh yeah. But
Oh,
Halua, I know that's definitely one of the ones that I'm gonna on. I'm trying to think of if there was any other ones.
oh, there were. I'll get there. Trust me. I
Yeah,
I
give
can
me
pick
give me
it
your
out from a
ideas,
lineup.
because it might help me remember. Because I there's so many
Oh
tracks
no,
that it's
don't
hard
worry.
to remember the names of half of them. at this point.
Trust me. So Halua, at least what I want to talk about that in the original game, they just played Emil's theme, and I think they probably could have just done the same thing. Like Emil's theme means something to
Right.
us, at least at that point in the game. So if you see her, like you hear the music, that's not really gonna tell you anything. It's just gonna be like, oh, okay, this is a sad piano track. When you probably could just play Emil's theme, and you're just like, well, yeah, you could just play Emil's theme. It's his sister. Like it's fine. You don't need to
You're still
create
gonna feel the
anything new.
pain. I mean,
But
this song is called Emil
yeah,
Despair. I mean, you're still
exactly.
gonna feel the despair.
Exactly. So like I don't think we needed that, but hey, fine. Okay. If you want to do it,
Maybe you could
okay.
just look at it
Now,
as this. The soundtrack has a lot of high energy bangers, like a lot of like a lot of intense songs, and then Hollow is just
yeah.
like nice piano break. It's a nice little piano break. And then you go to the next one, and then it's like some crazy songs. Like, okay, there you go. I had a little break. That's how I would look at it. But otherwise, eh.
I can't just because like Emil's theme fit perfectly. Like you I don't even mean in
Oh
the
yeah,
album. I mean
I
like
meant the
even in the
album. Yeah,
scene
in the
in
game, I
game.
definitely agree with you. But I would just say, in terms of listening to it on the album, I'd probably just think of it as a little break song. But in the game, it was kind of unnecessary.
Mhm. Okay, so the next two songs, I'm gonna skip those because I want to end on a good note. So we're gonna skip that. We're gonna go to Analogous Memories, the song that plays inside the tree. Holy shit! The two voices just
Oh yes, the Near
like it's
Automata
like
esque song. Woo wee! Oh
oh,
my goodness, this song
go for it,
blew
take
my
it, take it.
mind. As soon as I heard it, it reminded me of like Possessed by Disease, and that is my favorite Automata track. Possessed by Disease rocks my socks off every time. It gets me hyped, it gets me pumped. So when I heard this, I was like, "Oh, here we go! We got the Automata vibes coming in." It's so good. I even, as soon as you mentioned it, because I knew you were going to mention it, I had my mouse ready for it. I clicked on it, and it just blows me away how they killed these songs. Like, I have not heard such masterful orchestrations before. Like, I can't think of any game. Like, I can think of a lot of other games that have orchestrations where I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then if you say Near, my eyes just pop out of my head. They're not number one, they're God level. That's how I see it. This song is a good example of it. If any of you viewers are listening and you still aren't getting your memory jogged on what the song is, you need to pause this right now, go listen to the song, come back and freak out with us because this song is a masterpiece. Masterpiece.
Analogous Memories kicks so much ass. I don't know how they just gave us like if you put this in the Automata soundtrack, it would just fit perfectly. If you put it in here, it's somehow just as perfect too. It's got that perfect like feeling of like, oh, this is a future that we don't understand yet. Well, at least the characters don't. We the player do. But like it's so good to hear those creepy voices and being able to hear the strings just completely bring themselves down at the further Kaine goes down into the tree. I was like, this is perfect. Oh my god, like this is exactly what I was so excited for whenever V1.2 got announced because I love the idea of them being able to add more tracks to an album that already was damn good. Like I don't understand how they continuously understand how to ice this cake even further without making it
They
feel like
they
it's
put
overly
the
sweet.
perfect
Like it just
frosting on it.
continuously
They
gets
they put the
better.
perfect frosting. I All I can say is I don't want to assume, but I feel like it's a good assumption. They definitely made this track for the people who played Automata, and are coming back like us. They definitely made this track for the people who've played this game before. They know what happens with Automata. There's no way because it just sounds so perfectly Automata. Like I even can't believe that I'm saying that Automata is essentially a genre of music for me. Because if I hear any song that remotely sounds like it and isn't in the game, I'm like, oh, this is an Automata song. It's not in the game, but it's an Automata song. It's Dude, I just can't, man. I would say if I wasn't just counting, or if I wasn't completely counting the remade songs, this will be my favorite song on the album. It's almost there, but as in terms of the new songs, it's definitely my favorite.
Dude, okay. Now we gotta
Yeah,
go
we're gonna be
on
here all day.
because no, trust me, we could praise these songs to high heaven, but I can tell you right now, I don't think I could break down what makes it so good outside of the fact that it just sounds like it fits to either soundtrack with a good meeting point in between. I don't think I can top that. Grandma Reunion. My God, they turned Grandma into a fight song.
Yeah,
Ah. And I'm glad. I'm glad that they did this because I think Grandma was in Automata, and that's actually one of the tracks that I
yeah.
don't like
Groundhog
that
Destruction
much.
wasn't that
So the
good.
fact that they came back and actually fixed it and made it an actual battle song was like,
Absolutely.
this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. This, whenever you want to take another song and you want to make a battle theme for it, Grandma Reunion is how you do it. Not Grandma in Automata, which, to be fair, I don't even remember what it was. I think it
Grandma
was.
Destruction. That's what it was. Yeah, it was not that impressive in the album. I remember that. But this reunion definitely miles better. I would say not to call it a mistake, but they definitely learned from what they could have done better with Grandma Destruction and definitely apply to here. Very much apply to here.
Yeah, Grandma Destruction sounds just. It sounds almost generic. Like, it almost sounds like you could probably pluck this anywhere, and if you just took out the voices, I don't
It's
think
like
anyone would
essentially the
notice.
Halua
Like,
of
in my
that game.
head,
Like Halua is just your basic run of the mill, slow, sad piano song, and Grandma Destruction is kind of the same thing with the battle theme. It's not it's not horrible or bad or anything, but it's not the most impressive. So they definitely flipped it around with the reunion for sure.
Grandma Reunion is so perfect just because you get to that point where it feels like Kaine is just completely helpless. And this song, I mean, what else reminds Kaine of being helpless?
And what a perfect
Her
title
grandma.
too. What
Like,
a
it's
perfect title,
perfect.
reunion. Absolutely perfect naming for sure.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, so like, of course, Grandma Reunion kicks ass. All right, next song, Kaine Escape. We got another
Mm.
Kaine song. Oh my god. Actually, you know what? No, we need to bundle this with the other Kaine song, which I think was Salvation. My god. Why is Kaine's song just so good to be able to get mixed and matched again with different ways that they orchestrated, and it kicks ass every single
I don't
time.
know, like, and Kaine Salvation even is in Automata, so it's also gonna make me wonder: are they gonna do some rendition of Kaine in Reincarnation? This the Kaine's.
Oh,
Oh,
wait, sorry. Not Salvation.
oh, was it
Premonition.
Premonition?
The acapella one. Premonition.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does actually make sense now that I think about it. And I want to say, well, I don't want to go too far off by referencing another game, but there's another game series called Assassin's Creed, and what they have is a song called Ezio's Family, and they
Yeah.
also do a million bajillion renditions of it, and every single rendition it blows my mind. Yeah, the games aren't that good to me anymore, but every time they have a new Ezio's Family, they always slay it, and that's what I think of when I come to Kaine. So that's what I'm thinking, man, I really hope that they make more Nier games that they just find some excuse to throw Kaine in it, because they did it with Automata. Reincarnation's coming out, and I haven't heard the soundtrack. It's so good. You can flesh it with any genre, just like Ezio's Family. You can make it orchestral. You could probably even do a techno remix of it. Like I know that Automata had a few dubstep kind of tracks, so they could probably do something like that. You can do anything with that song because the lyrics are so perfect. Like they're perfect to harmonize with any kind of rhythm.
All right, now I hate that somehow Assassin's Creed is going to get brought up, but I feel like I have to. Ezio's theme for Assassin's Creed Rogue, that menu theme of the Ezio theme is actually like really
Absolutely.
good. Like, it's so good. Like, you hear a ticking
Mm-hmm.
clock
That's
underneath
my
it.
favorite
You
too.
hear basically what that game is, where you have the assassin turning into a Templar. Like, that version is so good, and honestly, it's the only thing I look forward to that Ubisoft ever does, which is another Ezio theme. It's like, thank you. I can just look this up on YouTube. I don't have to give you money. Thank you, Ubisoft.
Spend $50 on Nier Replicant.
So yeah, Kaine's song, my God,
Spend
that's
$60 on that.
damn right, and it's $45 right now on Amazon as we record. Of course, no one's ever going to hear this because I don't look. I'm just saying that it's probably not going to be true anymore because I don't know when the hell this is going to come out. I
Yeah,
really
probably named
don't.
tomorrow.
So yeah,
It's not gonna matter.
that's
Yeah,
out of
but
date now.
it's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
Just spend $60 anyways.
Give them
Okay,
your money. Give them
$45,
all of your
whatever.
money
Just
so they
buy
can
it.
make
Okay.
more and they can do more concerts because we need a replicant V1.2 concert. We need it. Don't ever let me catch anyone saying
I
we don't deserve one. So give them all of your money. If it's on sale right now when you're listening to this, wait until it's $60 and pay them more. It's worth the money. I would pay them maybe $90 for this game. I don't know, 100 might be pushing it, but I would have paid 90, maybe. I'm a shill. I'm a shill.
You're out here going for full fucking price, and I'm out here at triple full fucking price because of the White Snow edition.
Sad.
uh, yeah, I know. Don't worry,
Okay.
you'll find one eventually. Okay, so yeah, Kaine song. That was actually really good. That was a really good pull from Ezio's theme. Like that song really does get pulled in different directions, and Kaine's song is pretty much like that. Except I'd probably say that if I had to pick one song that's more emblematic of that, it would probably be Song of the Ancients, because there's not a bad version
Mhm.
of Song of the Ancients, and they've done that song so many times
Absolutely.
that I don't think that there's a bad one of the
Because there's a
bunch at
regular
all.
one, there's the one for the individual girls, there's what was
Mhm.
the one in Automata? Was it Fate, I believe, something like that?
No, no, no. Fate is the one that actually plays during Gestalt, Replicant, and V1.2, of course.
Atonement,
Atonement.
right?
Atonement is the
Okay, I
Automata
was I
one.
was thinking the other way. Yeah, there's Atonement. There is, of course, the loungish one. There's
Oh my god.
there's a lot of them now that I'm thinking about it. Is there might be a techno one if I'm really thinking about it. But yeah, I'd say Kaine and Song of the Ancients get the multi-genre treatment. I honestly, besides Assassin's Creed, I can't think of other games that do this kind of thing where they take one specific song and make a million different versions of it to basically hype up their fan base with all of them. Like it's it's really genius that they take that song because like I said, the lyrics are perfect. Like it's shown that not only can it be good for a slow kind of singing, but it's good for a really fast paced, anxiety inducing, under pressure kind of thing, like
Yeah.
escape. It's really crazy how the lyrics can go different ways like that.
Those are good ones. There's a new version of Ashen of Dream. Honestly, I don't think I really need to say anything about it. Like, it's
Mhm.
good. I like that it comes in quietly and slowly, and then eventually just the actual song kicks in and it ends the game perfectly. I don't think that there's anything else I can say.
Yeah,
I mean, toss it to
yeah,
you
I
on that
got
one.
I got the same kind of opinion. It's there's nothing crazy to say about it.
Yeah, it's just good. We don't need anything that further along. Okay, now I wanted to end with the last two songs. Fleeting Words. Fleeting Words Family and Fleeting Words Outsiders. I think these might be my favorite tracks. Just straight up. I think these might be my favorite tracks. Which ones are these? These are the ones that play during Louise's chapter. I love these two songs, and I honestly couldn't finish the album after I beat the game because I just kept looping these songs over and over and over again for at least like a week or something. Like these two songs just fit in so perfectly, and yet they excel beyond almost every other song for me that I don't understand how these two songs for a chapter that was probably cut content in the original one got so lucky to be given this wonderful treatment. I cannot fathom it at all.
Yeah, I agree. I do remember that these tracks really stand out. Most of all, "Family." I really love that one. It's one of those songs that makes me subconsciously cry in my brain for hours, even though I'm not crying in person. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I definitely love that these two editions. Very good.
just outsider. I j- I don't understand how that action song sounds so sad. Like you hear it and you're like, yes, stuff is going to be happening. I just really feel sad even throughout all of this. And even with the song ending with the quiet parts of family, I love these songs. I love them, and it's so hard for me to want to say that it's my favorite tracks, even though I literally just said that not long ago, because there's so many good tracks on this album. But these would easily be in contention for some of my
It's
favorites. Like
time for that
I
routine
love
shout
these two
out.
songs.
Give a hand to Emmy
Mm.
Evans, dude. Kills
Every single
kills
time.
every vocal track she has ever done. It blows my mind that she can have such an angelic voice. I hope that while she doesn't overwork herself with it, I hope that she continues making songs for years and years to come. If even if she doesn't make more Nier songs, put her in more games because you guys are sleeping
Yes.
on it. Or maybe she can't. Maybe she's in a contract with Yoko Taro-san for like 200 million years and she can't do work for anything else. That might be why because I can't fathom how anyone could sleep on her. Like, there's people that have definitely heard this, in the music industry, and to think that they're like, nah, I'm not gonna go with Evie Evans. What's wrong with you, man? Really, every vocal song kills it in this game. Like I don't even know what my top 5 favorite songs would be. I can maybe think of a couple of them,
Oh,
but it would be really hard for me to pick my top 5. I mean, I could say The Incomplete Zone and The Ultimate Weapon are going to be in there, but the other 3, they're all having a gang war right now in my brain. That's all I can say.
dude, Fleeting Words would have to somehow take up 2 spots. Like that's sadly just non-negotiable for me.
I
And
get
at
it.
that point, it becomes super difficult because then it's like, oh, Song of the Ancients Fate, yeah, absolutely, that goes in. Oh,
Analogous
Analogous
Memories,
Memories,
yeah,
yeah,
that
that
goes
goes
in there
in.
too.
Yeah, Shadow Lord comes in, and then you're like, wait a minute, but Wretched
Yep,
Automatons? I mean, sorry, Wretched Automatons? Wait a minute, Cold Steel
yep,
Coffin? Wait a minute,
yep.
Prestigious Mask? Temple of the Drifting
Don't
Sands?
ever try
Godbound
to
by
rank
Rules?
these
Oh my
songs
god.
because you will just ruin your brain for a good hour or two, and you still won't even get to it after that. You'll just give up.
His dream, this dream, oh my god. It's impossible. It's so crazy to think that okay, this is an album that if you wanted to make a greatest hits version of it, you would probably maybe only be able to cut it to 2 discs. And if you cut it to 1 disc, you wouldn't be able to make everyone happy because there is going to be a deep cut where people are like, wait a minute, you cut that song? Why? Why would you cut that one?
So I do want to add one thing because I know you had to
Mm,
definitely talk about fleeting words. One last song I need to talk about, which you just mentioned
mm.
it and I remembered, is This Dream. This Dream sounds breathtaking, and to the point where I was in the middle of my Route B run, which probably took me the longest because this was when I was moving out and I had to do a lot of stuff. I didn't get a lot of time to play the game. But when I was doing things like
Mhm.
packing my boxes, moving everything over, I
Yes.
would play this
Yes.
stream on loop. I one time played it, I shit you not, for 4 hours straight without pausing it a single time. The entire time, I heard it for 4 hours, and during those 4 hours, despite the stress that my life was going through at the moment, I felt like I was in a blissful plane of existence. That song really helped me just keep my feelings down, keep focused on everything because that guitar string is it's so harmonious, like it's peaceful. And that's why that probably would be on my top 5, but I'm not going to go down that route again, but that song I owe a lot to because there's that soft little huh, like there's no vocals all the time, it's just huh. It's perfect. I love that song. That is a perfect song for me.
Look, I have an OLED TV, and of course, these TVs are susceptible to burn-in,
Mhm.
and I have to admit, even I'm guilty of leaving it at the save point in the Lost Forest and just letting the music play, and I walk away. I'm like, I'm gonna go have dinner. What's the sound system at? 55? Let's bump this to 75 so I can hear it from the kitchen. Perfect. Like, I can tell you right now, I did this way too many times where what I would do specifically is that since I knew I was gonna go for the platinum, the trophy that requires you to have beaten the game at least up to the prologue in no, not the prologue, up to ending A for 15 hours. I specifically would know, oh, I want to listen to this song. I'm going to save. I'm going to let it
And then load it
idle.
back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like I would
that's
just cut
smart.
the time out because I'm like, no, I'm getting the platinum. I'm not going to start doing this. So I would just be like, oh, what Devil is over there singing her new version? Absolutely. Absolutely. Which, by the way, I can't believe that Song of the Ancients really doesn't have an addition. It's just kind of, it just extends. Like, it doesn't have an addition. It's just like, it keeps going for like an extra couple of seconds, and there's an addition of lyrics. Like, it feels like it has the least amount of additions to it, and yet it fits so perfectly that I don't think I can listen to the original ones anymore.
I do also have to say, when playing this remake, so normally it takes me a while after beating these games to fully memorize these tracks lyrics, but I remember
Mm.
I heard Devilish track so much because I did the same thing as you, where I went to the save point and then I went back towards the fountain and Devil was sitting there jamming, doing her thing, being a boss, and I would leave my PS4 on and then I'd come back and it'd be like, oh shit, I didn't realize I've been listening to this for 3 hours. Like it was even white noise. And then at a point when I'm driving in the car and that song comes up, I sing along to it flawlessly. And then I'm like,
Yes.
wait, I know the song, but I didn't even look up the lyrics. Are these songs just completely ingrained into my brain now to where I don't even have to look up the lyrics? I just know what she says. That's crazy.
Dude, there are way too many songs that whenever I'm in the car, I'll just start singing along and my wife will try to talk to me and I'm just like I will try to basically sign language to her
Because
what's
you're
going
speaking her
on. So like
chaos language, she will never understand it. So you just have to do sign language.
no, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, I'll be singing along to one of these songs and she'll be like, "Oh, did I tell you about this?" And what I'll do is that since I do know, I'll point to my eye and then my brain to identify I know. Like, I try to sign language as much as possible to not stop
That's
singing. And
great.
I can tell you right now, dude, the entire Nier soundtrack is pretty much that for me, where it's just like Shinjuru Shesa Utraisai no Forinja Kurasa. I don't know what any of that is. I might be even using the wrong gibberish, and yet it's still stuck in my
That's what
head.
I was thinking. I was like, what if I'm using the wrong gibberish? Oh well, it sounds like Kuata. I guess it's close
Yeah,
enough. I don't think anyone's gonna correct me. I don't think Edwin's gonna correct me. I'm good. I'm good.
it's not Kuwata, it's Kuwatar. Like no, of course not. Like it's gibberish. That's what makes it so good. That's what makes it so easy to sing along to.
I
Like,
mean, because it's
oh
true.
my
If
god.
I think I remember where with the original, if I looked up lyrics, half the pages would say different things from each other. Yeah, they'd have the same vibe, but
Yep.
like I could not find an exact copy of Kaine Salvation's lyrics that were the same as another person's. Like they were all different. So I was like, you know what? Whatever. I'm pretty sure in the Wretched Automatons, she says Lavale at the end of one of these sentences. If she does it, then screw it. Lavale is a word in my brain now. Lavale. I don't know. It's it's
Look,
just gibberish, man. Why would anyone try to correct someone on gibberish? It doesn't have any meaning. It's just what they could make a song. They could make a song that literally goes hachi and it would sound great. Like it's just good.
dude, you'd be playing that, and I'd be like, "Damn, this shit's
Yeah,
fire. Damn, Kichi
this is
Okabe's killing it
crazy. This
again.
is good.
Damn, all right." Look, here's the funny thing. Even though like all of this is gibberish, that's already how I listen to music
Mm.
anyways, where like I just like my brain for some reason just like doesn't understand language sometimes and goes, "Yeah, that's not language," and throws it out. So music is especially hard for me where I just listen to the beat and then if I like the way that they're singing, I usually don't care to find out about the lyrics until afterwards. So pretty much the way I learned the Nier songs is already how I learned every other song, where there are like, yeah, these are lyrics. I don't know what they're saying, so I'm just gonna do an approximate, estimation of what they're saying, and still sing anyways. And I'll just kind of sing a little quieter then, so then no one can call me out that I'm saying the
Yeah,
wrong
I have this
words.
issue with rap, honestly. Like I have the same thing
Oh
where
yeah.
like, I could tell that they're rapping about, drugs and killing people and all that stuff and I'm like, yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's probably about drugs and girls and being cool and all that. I'm like, yeah, I like the beat though. That's it. Like, and then I'll get the lyrics and I'm like, wow, this guy really loves talking about drugs. I'm glad I was right, but I didn't know he was saying any of this.
Damn, I didn't know I was vibing to killing hookers and using their dead bodies to stuff cocaine
Yeah,
across the bridge.
yeah. What
Wow,
an interesting
sick.
lyric. The beat's kind of fire though. The beat's fire.
Bro, I didn't know you had to put a piano to this. Yeah, all right, sick. Yeah, oh, get those piano keys. Yeah, stuff that whore with a whole bunch of heroin. Yeah, come on. Ooh, a string
You see,
section?
that could be what
Damn,
they're
you
talking about
really
in Nier
got all out
Replicant.
for
They could be
this.
talking about how they kill and eat dogs or something, or they're like, yeah, Grimoire Weiss has an ugly face on the book, but I don't say it because he's not a good cook. They could be saying some crap like that, and we don't know because it's gibberish. But dude, that guitar string that Devil is pulling on is busted, dude. It's
Oh.
good. Like screw it. You could be talking about poo poo and pee pee, and it's a great song.
Dude, she could be singing this entire song like, "Player is stupid, you don't know what's going on. We're going to take advantage of you, going to be the body for the Shadow Lord." Like, "Oh, hey, Nier, how's it going? Yeah, you don't know about this track. You don't know about this shit. You ain't up on
Hey,
this
hey,
shit."
Nier, you want to hear a song? The itsy bitsy shadow lord went up the 1,000-year wait. He didn't get what he wanted, and now he's really irate. That's what she could be saying. And you know what? Nier's like, you know what, Devila? This shit is mad fire. Keep pulling at guitar strings.
Oh, man, do you think Devil and Popola are just laughing at each other like, "These fucking idiots have
That's
no
what
idea
I
what's going
think. I
on?"
wish. So I'm sure we'll get to this later on. I don't remember if this is in the original, but when they show the scenes where they're just talking in there, and they're talking about everything, I'm like, man, I really think that behind the scenes they're laughing their asses off, sending Nier running all over the map, backtracking, and then they're probably laughing at the players, and it's something meta because I would be laughing my ass off.
You know what? Okay. I think we've already spent a long time on the music. Have we said everything that we need to, or do you think there's a couple of tracks that you want to
No,
touch
I
on a little
think
bit
the
more?
stream was the last one I need to talk about just because it was so melodic and harmonious. I think we're good. I just realized it's been 52 minutes on the recording, so yeah, we probably should move on. Probably. Or we're going to spend
Dude,
3 hours here, and we don't want that.
Oh God, no, no, no. But look, I feel like I'm still happy with the amount of time that we dedicated to the music because it's clear that even Monaka decided to give the time to the music
Yeah,
too.
the music's
So, thank
absolutely
you,
a love
Monaka.
letter to the fans, and I'm here for it. Please give us the last thing I just want to say is please give us a concert. I don't want any classic replicant Gestalt concerts. Give us V1.2 so it can be my first concert I ever go to, and it's not something generic that my mom takes me to. Please let it be near. Please.
Dude, just classic concert is dead now. Long live V1.2. Classic concert is dead.
Do another
Please,
Talking
please, please,
Live,
please,
but of
please.
Replicant V1.2. Remake Talking Live.
All right. That is sick that that would be your first concert. Mine was Paramore, and then immediately after my second one was Nier. So far I'm on a good
Oh,
streak.
that's pretty good. That's good. And there's more to come, I'm
Dude,
sure.
look, Paramore is the only artist that has no weak album for me, and the problem is that I can't risk going to other artists that I like because they have weak albums, and I swear that if they knock off the vibe and they play a song I don't like, I'm just gonna be so uncomfortable for like the next 2 or 3 minutes, and I can't risk that. Like, I can never go to a Rise Against concert because like there's only 3 albums that I like of theirs, and like none of them are like the most recent ones. So like I
Yeah.
can't ever go to a Rise Against concert, but like Paramore, they're still so far safe that if they need me to show up, I will happily go.
Yeah, Monaka's the only one that does that for me. The piano
Yep.
collections, the extra tracks, like for the Automata album, every single album that they have put out, I've loved. So that's why I need to go to near concerts exclusively at this point. Because any other artist, there's gonna be that bump, that little decline where the music sucks in this one album, and it's gonna be there at least one song. But if I'm going to
Yep.
a near concert, it's gonna be a 10 out of 10 the whole time. I'm gonna embed that into my brain because I know they're not gonna let me record it, and I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray after it comes out, and even though it's ingrained in my brain, and I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember all this perfectly clear. It's like it was just happening yesterday. That's only gonna happen with Nier, and
Dude,
bless up on that.
I'm so happy that they have so many good tracks underneath their belt because I know they're not going to like they're not going to start playing Emil's Shop or something like that, right?
Right?
Like they're always going to play Dark Crimson Foe. Like they're going to play the songs where it's like, "Oh, of course people want this one." Like they have such an overabundance of good songs that it's like I am not in risk of you guys playing Hollow Dreams Light Rain or something like that. Like you guys aren't going to kill the vibe like that. So like that's
Yeah, or
okay.
with
So
Halua, you're
yes,
not gonna throw in the one of the more generic piano tracks. Y'all are gonna probably put in Anagulous Memories next time, and it's gonna go crazy.
oh my god. Oh, by the way, the song was Vague Hope, Cold Rain. I think I got Hollow Dreams mixed up for the lounge song that they play. But yeah,
We
I said
definitely
we're
want
done with
that. We
music.
definitely want that. Okay, please put that in your concert. Don't
Yes.
mistake that for don't put Hollow Dreams in it. Please, I will be sad.
Yeah, please. Oh my god, if I can hear the lounge version of Song of the Ancients, I'm so fucking in. I am so in.
Concert of the year, easily.
All right, music. We're good. We're cutting it off there. Damn it! It's good music. We both like it. We have very positive things to say. So now, Mugetsu, I'm pretty sure the reason, at least I don't know if you did keep to it, but I feel like you did tell me you did all the side quests in V1.2. Is that correct?
Almost. So I did.
Almost. Okay.
I did 27 of the part one quest because
Mhm.
I missed the window for Yona's cooking, and at that point, when that happened, I said, you know what, screw this. I don't. I think I did about half of the time skip quest, but I'm going to still put myself through the torture when I go to platinum it because I'm just like, hey, I'm already going to be really upset at doing all this
Mhm.
backtracking, so why not just make myself want to drink myself into a coma and do all of the quests? Don't so you can get at me for not doing it now, but eventually I'm gonna come in your DMs and say, hey, I did all these quests. I want to die. But for now,
Listen,
I'm safe.
I did not do any of the side quests. You are completely safe. Like, I really did the most bare minimum of side quests because since I knew I was going for the platinum, I knew that I didn't want to do any side quests that'd be like, hey, I need you to give me 5 broken earrings. And it's like, fuck off. Do you know how many broken earrings I need to upgrade all these weapons? You can go find your own broken earrings. I'm not doing that shit for you, okay? I need to make sure that my I don't even remember what my Phoenix spear or something is fully upgraded. So you can fuck right off, okay? You can go over to the shelter and try to look for it because I'm not doing that for you. So like I just skipped most of the side quests because I knew the platinum wouldn't make me do it. So what I really did is that I just kind of save scum the side quests.
Mhm.
Like I did a whole bunch of them that were like the easy ones that didn't require any materials from me. And then once I realized that I only needed like 3 or 4 more quests, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to give you all my materials, pop the trophy, and then reload so I can get my materials back because fuck you, you don't get to keep my titanium alloy because that's rare as hell. So the reason I wanted to ask is, did you run into any new side quests, or were they all pretty much the same from when we last recorded?
Yeah, they were all the same from what I remember. Like, I don't
Ah,
even remember seeing any articles that talked about any new additions. Like, not even ones that would hook in, like, say, with Louise or anything. Like, I think they were all the same in this one. I think that's the element, like the backtracking and everything, that they did not touch in this remake, as far as I'm concerned.
okay, all right. At least that's reassuring because if you even went to go look and you didn't see anything, that makes it more reassuring for me to know that I'm never going to put myself through the side quests again.
Yeah,
Because if I have to start grinding for more materials for a side quest that I've already done once, I'm never doing it. Look, I already platinumed all 3 versions of Nier, Gestalt, and Replicant. I don't need to do that again. I'm never touching those side quests. I
absolutely.
still need to torture myself with Drakengard 3 at some point, which by the way, was insane that I started keeping an eye out for Drakengard games because Drakengard 3 right now is going for like between 70 to $100, which is funny because in December, just on a whim, I bought a sealed copy for $25. So
Yeah,
rough for anyone.
I'm really scared about it going up anymore to where, because I plan on getting a PS3 to replace my really old one I had to get rid of because it broke. I'm really
Mhm.
thinking I might need to go ahead and secure myself a copy of that because it might keep going up with this big near blowing up. Like, Replicant is now gaining a lot of popularity with this remake, and like there's like I see fan art every day on Twitter. I see people talking about it, standing Kaine and everything. So I'm like, ooh, it's going to be a matter of time before someone finds out that Zero exists and they start standing her, and then this game goes up like double in price. I might need to get myself a copy.
Look, we'll get to here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? Drakengard 1 I bought earlier this year for about $90, right? And right now it's trending close to 200. So,
Well, that explains why I
you
wasn't able
might
to find
want
it
to
at my game stores that I looked at. I was like, I really hope that the online rare price, the old 200, is not going to carry over to the store. I went to about 20 game stores in my area that I could drive to. None of them had a single Drakengard game or a Nier game. I was like, man, that sucks.
Yeah, the original Nier game is still trending around the same price that it used to, which is be a little under retail or at
Hmm.
retail. So the original Nier not going to be too hard to find. The two Dragon, well, actually, even Drakengard 2, like the entire just Drakengard series is becoming impossible to find. So if
Absolutely.
you see a price that's close to retail, jump, shoot immediately.
But also
You need,
stay
yeah.
wary, because you might be getting ripped off. Who knows? Like, I know that I saw on eBay there was like a lot that had like 1, 2, and 3, and it was like $550, and then you also had to pay like
Yeah.
$45 tax. I was like, well, I mean, Drakengard's one is I don't think it's like $300. I might just wait one day for a good emulation, because I'm not gonna lie, Drakengard 1, I do not vibe with the gameplay that I saw of that. I haven't played it, but I've
Oh, of
seen
course.
someone do an entire playthrough of it, and I was not feeling it. But Drakengard 3, that's probably something that I will deal with spending $200 on because Zero exists. But that's for another time.
Look, I'm telling you right now, Drakengard 3, I already got my PS3 copy. I want my trophies. I'm going to play it like that. Drakengard 1, I have my physical copy, but I'm going to be playing it on the PS2 Pro. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I'm going to also use my Game Shark. Yeah, I'm going to be using Game Shark on my PS2 Pro. No one asked me what that means, but I'm going to break that game. I'm going to break that game. I'm going to make it as easy as possible for me to get through it, except the ending. Like, except the ending. For some reason, I just feel like it would be really disingenuous for me to actually even do the boss fight, even if I could cheat it. Like, I feel like I need to go through the suffering to do that
Mm.
properly. And I know that I'm going to do that for Drakengard 3 as well. So, yay, I hate myself, obviously.
Yeah, good luck. I don't even know if you're gonna have a will to live after all that. But
I
if you do,
I'm not
then
going to be able
props
to.
to you. If you somehow find a reason to live after that.
So okay, yeah, Drakengard, very hard to find. If you see it cheap enough, snap it up. Like it's at this point, I don't think the Nier train is going to go off the rails. It's already made its name that it's going to become something relevant. So yeah, Drakengard 1 trending close to 100, 150, 200. Drakengard 3 trending close to 70 to 100. Drakengard 2 I just don't see anywhere. And the last time I saw it was a sealed copy for $350. So, you know,
Must be that
but the good thing is
Yoko
Drakengard
label.
3,
It must be his name that gets it selling like crazy. Must be.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, Drakengard 2, thankfully pointless, even though it's more expensive. So who cares about that? Moving on from side quests, I'm going to go ahead and mention something, the DLC. The DLC is pretty much no different from the original game. It's the same kind of trials. You just kind of go there. The only reason you'll run through them is because you want the rare materials that are there. Of course, like I explained previously, it would give you access to the alternative character. So if you had Brother Nier in your version, then you had Papa Nier in the DLC. If you had Papa Nier as the main character, then you had Brother Nier as the character in the DLC. It's no different here. It's included. What is the DLC? It's just the book that unlocks that is Nier's mom's diary that opens up in his house after ending A. So pretty much nothing different there. The only difference is that for some reason they actually got Papa Near back just to say a couple of lines like, "Oh, I guess it's good to be back, Weiss. Oh, Weiss, why do you look different? Oh, whatever." Like it's just like small tug in cheek shit that honestly doesn't add anything to it. I just feel like I have to mention it because I mentioned the DLC previously.
Yeah.
Mugetsu, did you try the DLC or anything?
Yeah,
Go
I
for it.
did it. I did all 15. I actually think it was easier this time around for me. It may honestly be because I was pretty high leveled, but I remember it being a huge pain when I first did it, and it also could just be because the combat is much better now. That might be also
Correct.
it. I didn't even find it annoying. Like I actually had some fun, most of all with the music. I know when you start the third door, like the third set of them, and you start out on the docks. I remember that was a pretty intense battle for me, and I was like, wow, this was really intense, and this was just the beginning of it because I had completely forgotten about the original DLC. But I enjoyed it mostly. I mean, I even went back a couple times and did it all over again, and I had some fun killing Shades. The music, though, which I know we're going back to the music again, but I remember the tracks used in this weren't that impressive to me. Like I actually kind of got annoyed by the Emil remix after a while. Not gonna lie, but it was they're good, but it's just they were not as good as the actual game for sure.
They were the exact same tracks from the original DLC,
Yeah.
so like I didn't find any of these special. Also, I don't like that the DLC just feels like real cut rate. Like it
Mhm.
still just feels like okay, I know it's included in the game, but like if I told someone, "Hey, this was DLC that was $7 that really only added challenge rooms that the only reason you would want to play these is because it gives you rare materials that you can get there consistently."
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I told someone that, they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
Because like, there's really nothing here. Like, there's nothing story-wise, it's still just text on a screen that's just vaguely hinting off to other stuff that the game has already hinted at, so almost all of it is pointless. Like, this DLC like, that's the thing, I'm going to continue calling it DLC because it still feels like it's bolted
Yeah,
onto this
it's
game.
just included in the package. Yeah, it's like it's
Mm,
because this is a remake, but it's also like a definitive edition, so you can still call it
yes.
DLC for sure.
So yeah, the DLC. I don't think I have anything else to add to it. I feel like I just needed to mention that now it's in the game instead of it being DLC, but it's still DLC.
Yeah, all I would say is just I'm really glad that Emil remix is not on the actual album because
Yep.
I'm not looking forward to ever hearing that again. It's too wildly like dubstep. I don't like it.
Ooh, da, eh, 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 eh.
I I even hate that part. Normally, I like that kind of sound in a song where it's like but it's just maybe it was because they used it so much. Like it was almost like every other level in no sense. Like most of all, when you're on the little boat and facade and you are taking forever to go around, and you just hear ooh ah ooh and I'm like, dude, come on, this why'd y'all put this in here? You could have done anything else. You could have at least made the speed double of this boat. Come on, man.
Dude, I don't think they actually even changed those tracks at
Mm-mm.
all. Like, I think that they
Yeah, they
just
sound
plucked them
exactly the
out.
same. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you can confirm that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, thank God they didn't put this in the album, because I know these are the exact same versions of the songs. Just keep them on the 15 Nightmares album that I never ever listened to. I have it in my library, but I keep it out of the Near playlist, just like the OG tracks. Thank God, because I did not want that in that album. That would have almost brought down a star for this whole album if it was in there. But that's enough of
Okay,
that. That's
good.
enough of shitting on that. I just can't deal with those.
Okay, good. That does make me happy just because I can tell you right now, like those songs, you can tell they definitely didn't touch them because you can tell that they're like these little just small closed loops
Hmm.
and you're just like, "Oh my god." Like this was a problem in the original for some people. Not for me because I love those songs so much that you can loop them over and over again and I'm never going to feel that bad about it. So the fact that these songs were just cut wholesale, that just makes me even feel better about the fact that we can call it DLC. So, woo.
Hmm.
Thank you for at least still insulting the DLC and calling it worthless. But still also giving everyone the good part, which is the fact that I don't have to farm eagle eggs again. So, thank you for
Absolutely.
that.
And it is also nice just to get the laws of text between levels of, Nier's mom
Really?
talking about like the dragon farm and this kind of all that. That's pretty nice to
No,
read, but it's not important.
I don't think that's his mom. I think that most of the things that is actually going on is meaningless. Like I think it's the game just talking
Yeah,
to
I don't know. I,
us.
I mean, I kind of got the vibe that it was his mom writing it. And maybe because I know whenever you visit the library in the game, there's an old
Mm,
man there that's talking about how they used to have. I think he said they were talking about technology or something. And I was
yes.
thinking like, oh, I wonder if Nier's mom maybe was in this library and she read about more stuff. Maybe she wrote about how she noticed that there was mentions of a dragon farm in the sky and
No,
how all
no,
this
but
stuff.
there's not. That's the
Yeah,
thing. The
so that's why I
dragon
was
is something that has been completely lost. Like even the twins don't know about all of that stuff.
Yeah, so it's just interesting because I wouldn't know why the text would be there only during this diary thing. That's just like, oh, maybe she wrote this, but more you know, I guess. It's just there to be
Yeah,
there, But then you
yeah,
think
that's
maybe there should have been diary entries. Like, even if we don't know her name, it would have been nice to maybe, like, in the loading screens, instead of see this stuff about the dragon and everything. I mean, yeah, that's how you figure out, oh, this is a Drakengard sequel or whatever. But it would have been nice
uh,
to see things that maybe she wrote about the world as it was changing for the worse.
that's the thing. That what you're wanting in the diaries. Yes, I think I'd prefer that.
Mhm.
I still really think that this is just like I don't think the fact that it's the mom's diary is important at all. I think it's literally just, hey, this is the book, and then now for something completely different,
Yeah.
and it's just a challenge room where the game starts talking to you vaguely about plot points that you already know. Like, at what reason would the mom have to be like foolish vessel, foolish replicant, or something like that? Like,
Yeah, see, I looked at
there's
that.
no
I
reason.
looked at that and I was
Mm,
just like, yeah, maybe his mom's a weirdo or something. Maybe she's was like losing her mind or something. But yeah, maybe I was just looking at it wrong. But yeah, I wish they could have done something with her actually writing stuff. Would have been interesting to get some knowledge about her. And I noticed that they didn't mention his father in this game at all, did they? Like, as far as we're
No, they
concerned,
don't at all.
he had a mother but no dad. Maybe he was just poofed into existence by mom. Like maybe his mom was Virgin Mary. Because I don't remember ever
No,
seeing anything about a dad.
he had a dad. It was in the short story. I don't even remember anymore. The Red and Black, I think. In that short story, I think they make a short mention of his dad. That his dad died before I think he was even born.
Ooh.
So yeah, and then I think the other thing is that he had a strained relationship with his mom. So, like, pretty much by the time that I think he was like 10 or so, both of his parents were already dead, and he already had Yona. So, Like, that's the thing. The parents are just kind of out of the picture, that I really don't think they're anything that are important. Like, it just feels like, yeah, he had parents. That there's no point to this. Like, there's nothing. Like, the fact
Yeah,
that they have stories on Kaine's grandma and all of that we talked about last time. Like, I feel like if Nier's parents were important, they would have gotten something too.
yeah. My only wonder is just like maybe what they died from. Like it could have been an interesting thing to know about how Nier dealt with the grief of losing them. If he had any grief, like if
Oh,
he was sad. That's the only important thing that
wait.
I would have wondered is just how he dealt with it. Mostly, like even if he could have just like read about it, but that's it. Yeah, mostly there's probably no reason for them to be important at all because they have no effect on that main story.
No, so Red and Black does have that. Remember that? Well, okay, I don't blame you because it was a
Yeah,
while
'cause-
back,
yeah. I
but
don't I don't remember either.
so Red and Black does have something where at the beginning of the story they do talk about how Nier was at his mother's funeral.
Hmm.
He wasn't alive for his dad's funeral, so
Right.
he just remembers that he was talking to no, he wasn't talking to anyone. He was just standing around when they were about to bury her, and then he didn't really start crying until he realized that he's all that Yona has.
Mm.
And he didn't even cry about the fact that his mom was dead. He was crying more the fact that he now has the responsibility of making sure that Yona gets, like, Yona relies all on him. Like, he is Yona's world now, and the crushing realization of that is what made him cry, not the fact that his mom is dead.
Well, shit. I guess I'm gonna have to go reread these stories because now that I think about it, I don't remember any of that because we we talked about it so long ago. So I guess I'll need to do some revisiting.
Dude, I will happily send you Gestalt docs, okay? Like, there's there's so much there. Uh okay. So yeah, because we're already there, you know what I found out? Actually, whenever I was looking into more about the game itself, uh so when I was looking through the differences between the black box version of Automata,
Hmm.
between the US version and the Japanese version, I didn't realize that the Japanese version of the Black Box actually had a couple more short stories in it that were related to Replicant. And apparently, some of those stories actually took out the prostitution angle from the Black and Red story.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? I just wanted to mention this because I felt like that was an interesting thing that I noticed. At the end of the day, fuck those retcons. Nier sold himself into slavery. I mean, sorry, no, he sold himself into sex slavery. So I refute that correction that I assume Square Enix did, because I assume Automata looked like it was going to be a bigger game, that they're like, ooh, can you cut that? So, in other words, Nier still sold himself into prostitution. I refute whatever happened in the Japanese black box version of Nier Automata. That did not happen. Red and Black is still the original story.
Interesting to know.
So, not a fan of that. Anything that you wanted to mention about that before we start moving on?
No, it's just I remember Nier's whole prostitution thing was a very interesting thing that stuck in my mind. Like I remember I didn't know about this until you brought it up on our Spoilercast, and I thought it's interesting. And then when you told me ahead of time about what we're going to talk about, and I saw that you said that they were trying to, retcon the prostitution, I was like, okay, why? I mean, why? It's backstory that's important. Why retcon it? It helps. Honestly, when I would play a lot of Nier, like this V1.2, the whole prostitution thing would sometimes be in the back of my head, and it would make me think. I don't know how, but it would make me think. Oh, it makes sense that he's kind of like this now. Like how he mentions. I believe he mentions that he doesn't really go to seafront anymore, like very often.
Yep.
And I was like,
Yep.
yeah, this makes sense. But if you said this in the game and we did, and there's basically no mention of the prostitution, well, why mention that at all that he doesn't go to seafront? Like there would obviously be a reason, and now we don't know. So why retcon that? That's weird.
So that's the thing. They only retcon the details that
Yeah,
heavily imply to the fact that it's prostitution. Like, he still went to seafront. There's something that
yeah.
happened.
It's
Like,
just and now
if
you don't
you
know.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
weird.
pretty much. So it's definitely super annoying. I just feel like I had to mention it because it's relevant, but at the same time, it's only relevant because I want to say it's not relevant. So
Yeah.
Uh, okay. So prostitution, I got that out of the way. Now I think we can probably start going through the small additions that go out through the game. So I started thinking about it. The prologue, pretty much the same, nothing different.
Hmm.
Prologue, almost beat for beat the same. I don't think there was anything different there.
For
It
sure.
really isn't until A Run and beyond where there are different changes.
Right.
So, of course, I could do this chronologically, and I could mention the couple and Louise, but once again, I love that so much that I want to push that a little bit later because I love it so much that I don't want to start off like that. Let's go ahead and start off with some negatives and then progressively get more positive. So, the one that I want to bring up is the Halua scene that we had mentioned when we talked about the music. Um, I feel like this was unnecessary. I feel like it was unnecessary. I don't think we needed to see Halua. I don't think we needed her to talk. You just kind of understood that I was his sister because Emil said it. Like it's fine that you made the scene longer, but I think having her actually talk to Emil, I don't think it does that much for me because they fix that problem with including Emil's short story in the actual game in that exact moment. So I just felt like I didn't need more Halua. I could have just seen her. You could have shown me the short story on screen, and I could have been good. I didn't need this extra stuff.
Yeah, because this was honestly one of the more fresher parts on my mind from our Spoilercast. I skim read
Hmm.
this. I really did. Like,
Mhm.
I really didn't care for that inclusion. I really didn't. Wasn't it on? Was this on C Run where this popped up? I believe it was C Run where that came up, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember that because this was so far into the redos, like the re backtracking on the roots and everything, where I was just like, okay, and I skimmed through it and I was like, great, thanks for that. I guess I don't really care.
Wait, it wasn't B-Run?
No, I believe it was C Run because I remember I did B Run, and then when I had made the mistake of missing that weapon and everything, I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh man, I totally fucked this up. I'm not going to get the C Run ending." And then when the side story came up, I was like, "Oh, am I going to get C Run ending?" Of course, that was foolish, wishful thinking. But I was like, "Hey, this is another new thing. Am I actually going to still get the ending?" But then I saw it came up on my redo, and I was like, "Okay, yeah." So it's just there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was C Run if I'm
Okay.
correctly.
Okay, cool. Then that means that C-Run actually has two things that are an addition, but
Yeah, just those two things. I know the other thing you're talking about. Yeah, it's just those two little things. B run is where the most notable additions come, and then
yes.
C run just gives you the bare minimum of adding anything to where it's not just a carbon copy of B, and that's what pissed me
Hmm.
off.
Yeah. I mean, all of the Halua stuff, now that I realize it's in C Run, it makes me feel a little bit better. It's like, oh, okay, I guess C Run had a little bit more.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I don't think it does that
It really
much.
doesn't.
Like,
It's the bare minimum. That's
yeah,
very much what it is. And that's what kind of ticked me off. I was like, come on, y'all could have done anything else to add, and you just choose these little grains of salt. I mean,
I just wish that they spread out some of the stuff more through C Run because the stuff that they're
mhm,
adding isn't bad. It's just that, like, the extra Halua scene, I really don't need that. The short story inclusion is great,
mhm.
but I feel like if you're gonna have the Halua scene, don't have the short story. But then again, the short story is so much better. So at that point, it's like get rid of Halua. Then, like you're just stepping on your own toes. There's no reason to do this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Halua. You're just not having good luck in this game. Your song is very unimpressive, and then your inclusion is just very pointless. I'm sorry. I'm sure you're a sweet character and all, but you're not having good luck here. I'm sorry. Just take it to
Yeah,
Yokotaro's desk. He'll figure it out for you.
yeah, Halua. If you just stayed in the short story, I feel like you would have been better. But now that we have a little bit of context for you as existing in front of us, I'm kind of good on you. You don't really need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So, so not only that, of course, they have her short story whenever Emil gets eaten, but then like the short story kind of comes back whenever Emil destroys the Airy, and not gonna lie, that was pretty damn cool too.
Yeah.
And just being able to actually come back to the story, I was like, oh, you guys are actually coming. I thought we were done. I didn't know we were gonna come back here. So I feel like even that inclusion there, like it threw me off because yes, I already know this game frontwards and backwards, but the fact that it came back, like I didn't think we were gonna get more Emil after Emil just had like a traumatizing experience of killing all these people. Like I didn't expect that, and honestly, that was probably just like that might be my favorite extra short story edition. That just little piece after he destroys the Aerie.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. That was the one I definitely enjoyed. Yeah, that was C Run 2 if I remember. And that was another thought where I was like, hey, I'm gonna get the C Run ending, and then I was a fool. But yeah, nothing
Mm.
else to add. But yeah, they definitely could have spread it out a little better.
Yeah, now that I think about it, like whenever you look at how much focus Kaine had the entire time, if they could have done that for Emil, like that wouldn't have disrupted
Our
anything. Like
poor
if you
boy.
can figure out how to have Emil be able to talk more and comment on things that's going on, I hate the trope. I fucking hate the trope of ghost character around, maybe ghost character Halua. Like I hate it. I hate saying it. I
Mhm.
hate it, but like what if you had Tyrion and Kaine in B Run and you had Emil and Halua? Maybe not even Ghost Halua. Maybe you can say that after Emil became the ultimate weapon, he hears Halua. Like that's not really retcon anything. It's just more context. So at that point, C Run could have been more interesting because you had Emil and Halua kind of talking back and forth, so you can figure out what the relationship between those siblings. Like I just thought of that right now on the spot. Like I don't think you need to do much with it. You can literally just have it be like the side quest dialogue where it's nothing that's moving the plot along. It could just be you figuring out these characters.
So, while I don't have anything to add there, I do have to call you out on something.
Mm,
Because we
mm.
had this big thing with the last one. You need to take a shot because you said Tyrion again, and it is Tyrion.
Tyran,
Yeah,
Tyran.
because I actually believe I heard his name in the game. If I'm not tripping right now, I believe I heard it once, and it was Tyrion.
It is.
Yeah, so
It-
you need to go take a shot, and you better not say it like that again, or you're gonna hate yourself because you had to go through a whole ass drama with yourself about it last time because you just kept saying Tyrion over and over, and I'm like, this is not Game of Thrones. It's not.
Yes, I know. God, I still need to rewire my brain for it, and the problem is that at this point, I'm probably never playing this game again because I've done it so many times, like the last 2 or 3 years, that I'm sad that I'm probably just going to be damned my entire life to keep trying to call him the wrong name. Like I'm so sad to know that at this point, there's no saving me unless like I made a note card that was in front of my computer every day, like Tyrant. Tyrant. No, I'm not going to do that. Like I'm not going to do that. I just know I'm going to embarrass myself every time Tyrant gets brought up, and I think I just have to live with the embarrassment.
Hey, you're hardwiring it now that you said like Tyrion like 10 times in that last couple sentences. Maybe you'll get it. Who knows?
No,
Maybe
it's
you
not.
won't even bring him
No,
up.
it's
Maybe you won't even bring him up again. Let's hope.
but yeah, I guess besides me embarrassing myself, is there anything between like the Emil and Halua idea? Like, could that have made C Run at least a little better or what?
Yeah, it could have definitely improved it because, like I've told you, I find C and D run mostly wasteful. Definitely D run, but like C, I mostly find it a waste. Like honestly, it would have been nice if some of the B run stuff was saved for C run, like because B run got the gigantic treatment, and then C run to target gets anything. You could have taken a couple things out of it and put it in. Well, I mean, they couldn't have done it obviously because they're sticking to the original plan, but they could have added something like even if it was the Louise scenes because we got the Louise scenes of B run and that was in the original, so that could have been saved for C run, and that would have made C run significantly better for me. But that's just me.
That's the thing. We have to kind of think of it as things that we can do to make the game better without changing the structure
Right.
because like if they thought the structure was so important that they let all of these problems be there, you have to be able to change the stuff that they changed. So at that point, we really do need to look at it as what were we given and then how can we spread that across all the runs so we're not losing anything. And
Absolutely.
yeah, honestly, Louise, you could have just had her and the mailman have their thing. You could have kept it like a run and maybe dole out some of the information slower. Like the fact that we already have Tyran kind of narrating whatever the shades are going through, we don't need the extra info from Louise at that point in B run. You
Mhm.
probably could have pushed it to C run and made it a thing where at that point you see her story more in depth. Oh wait, no, never mind. You can't do that because a run and B run both have the thing where they show the Shade story and then explains a little bit, and so it'd be weird if for some reason Louise didn't have it. Damn it. Okay, no, that one doesn't work. Damn it. Yeah, that's the thing. It would be really weird if you had like BB's story and then you had Oh man, I'm blanking on the others.
Maybe
Oh, the
next
wolf.
maybe next time they should just not do a run where you have to get all the weapons. Maybe that would save us some time. Yeah, maybe.
Oh, well, yeah, thankfully that's never gonna happen again.
Yeah,
Like Automata made it so like it was just a side quest if you wanted to get all of that done. But then again, they made it worse because they're like, oh yeah, now you don't even have to just get the weapons to get the secret ending. You now have to upgrade them all too, and then get the secret. And it's like, oh, you bastards. So I think the Automata way is going better though than Replicant, where Replicant forces you to actually get the weapons to get all the story. Automata's like, well, if you want to get the actual secret ending, fine, go through it, but you're going to be punished for it. So like that, I think I'd prefer that over
yeah,
Replicant's way of handling it.
yeah. I'd agree.
Like, imagine if you had to get all the weapons in Automata for ending E. Like that's
Yeah,
no,
fuck
that's
that, man. I wouldn't do
no.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
I would. Oh, I would do it. I would do it. I know I would. I just would be pissed about it.
You
Right.
too for me.
So yeah, Halua, Emil short story, meh. Uh, the other short story that just kind of got a minor shout out that I'm kind of sad that they didn't flesh it out more. After A run starts and you have the moment where Devil and Popola tell Nier to tell basically Kaine and Emil to get out of the village because they're scaring people. The fact that they have a little scene where Emil and Kaine are in front of a fire and they're talking a little bit, and Nier comes out and he talks a little bit for them, and it cuts to black. I mean, that was obviously a straight is the sorry, that's obviously a straight is the gate inclusion from the short story. It just kind of makes me sad that we didn't get to see that expanded on in B Run,
Yeah,
because B Run is the part where you have the shades kind of talked and they have Kaine understanding them because Tyran is basically narrating it for her. So I kind of wish that we had gotten this short story included because it fits perfectly into B Run. You already had the seeds of it in A Run where you see them outside. B Run honestly could have almost hinted to the fact that you were going to play as Kaine by letting you control her for a little bit and kill some of the shades there and then start doing that. And honestly, I think it could have fit perfectly. And I think it was a bit of a miss to not show that Kaine is even more distressed about this than she already was in the rest of B Run. Like, it's not taking away from anything, it's not removing anything, it's only adding more to the fact that Kaine is uncomfortable with this. And I feel like that was maybe a bit of a miss for the sake of keeping Kaine playable as a secret until you get to the end.
yeah, I agree mostly. I honestly didn't see it like you did until you just now said this, and yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying now. Yeah, they could have done a little more with it.
Fair enough. Damn, I nailed it. Okay. Now, of course, I have my list here. I think I have the couple and Louise next, but I'm not ready for the gushing yet. I'm not ready for the gushing. So we're gonna jump over that. We're gonna talk about another edition that's in C run or B run. I think it's C run, where I think by the time that you get the last key, you get a final scene of Nier walking into the village, and he and Kai no, he's talking to Weiss, and they're both talking about how they're about to go to the Shadow Lord's castle. It's going to be dangerous, so we're going to go get Yona. And Weiss is talking about no, sorry, no. Nier is talking to Weiss about abandoning Kaine and Emil so they won't die or something if they go into the castle. And both Kaine and Emil are just like, "Are you fucking stupid? We're here. We're in this together. I'm not letting you leave us behind." And even Emil, the ultimate weapon, just gets in Nier's face, is like, are you stupid or something? We're all doing this together. And honestly, this is completely new. It's nothing from the books or anything. It's nothing from the original game. It's just completely new, and I'm not gonna lie, it's good. It's good. I don't really have anything to say about it outside of it's new, and I like that you show that Nier does care about Kaine and Emil, because I'm not gonna lie, with now that I'm saying all this and thinking about it, I don't feel like Nier felt like that much of a friend with those other two. He felt like he cared about them, but not you don't have like an actual scene of him being
Yeah,
worried
it
about
felt
them.
like more that they were just all obligatorily banding together to take down the Shadow Lord, and it was just because they wanted to help Nier out with his little thing. And without that being in it, you would basically see them as acquaintances more than friends. So it definitely was a good scene. I remember it was funny because I was thinking, man, what if I missed that scene? But then when I went on C Run and after the King of Facade is mourning, and you go back
Hmm.
to do that scene, I went down the path to go take the boat, and he said, "Oh, sorry, the boat's not actually working right now, so you're gonna have to go in through the regular way." And I was like, "Oh,
Yup.
okay." And then I ran all the way through it, and I was like, "Wait a second." And then I got to it, and the scene happened. I was like, "Oh, okay. So y'all forced me to do this. That makes sense because I would have hated to have missed it." So actually, I think it was B
Yes.
Run where it came in. Yeah.
Uh, oh, really? B run? Oh, that's a shame. Okay, well then they should have kept that for C run. Damn it! Like, there's so many good
But
stuff
see, you
that
don't even
is
know it's
in
a
B
C Run
run.
at this point because it's almost a carbon copy of B Run. So I don't even blame you.
I know, but it just makes me so sad because C run exists, so make it good.
Yep.
So, like, why not? So, moving on from there, the one inclusion, literally, like, I don't really try to script most of these shows, but at least for the near ones, I try to have bullet points, or in the case of the 8 hour one, I basically wrote up an entire manifesto. Like this one, I literally just tried to bolt down, okay, what are the differences? And when I started thinking about what were the differences for C Run, all I could remember were the Devil and Popola segments. There was nothing else that I remembered, even as we're talking about it. I'm pretty sure I've already forgotten what the other things were for C Run, but literally the only notable C Run addition is the Devil and Popola scenes, which you had mentioned earlier
Yeah,
when we were
that's
talking
that's
about
how
them
I
probably laughing
saw
at each
it.
other.
Yeah, they were just talking, and I remember like C Run adds one that's at the near the end, and it's maybe a good minute long, and they're talking about how the plan is going. You know, they have to stick to it, and I'm just like, this scene felt a little pointless to me. Like we already knew that they had a plan and they were sticking to it, and it was supposed to go on for X amount of years, and it was all happening early. So it's like this scene didn't really do anything for me. I think I'm remembering it right that they just talk about the plan, and it was pointless for me.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I am okay with this, just in general, all the additions, because if you don't know anything besides what the game presents to
Mhm.
you, it just kind of seems like a really hard turn that Devil and Popola just turn on you. Like, you don't know
Right,
anything about Gestalt Project, you don't know about the whole replicization process, you don't know about anything that happened in between like 2003 all the way to 2053 and beyond. Like, if
right.
you don't know any of this, it just feels like it's a cheap twist to make you go, "Oh, those are characters I care about. Oh no, they turned on me." So, if you don't know any of this, that would probably still feel like that, but I'm glad at least that we did get scenes of their point of view of the fact that they do feel bad about this, but they just know that this is for the good of mankind. So, even though they have connections to the replicants, they feel like, well, we have connections to the replicants, but we got to make sure that humanity comes back. Like, that is our mission. So even if we care about them, we still have to sacrifice them because that is our mission. So I'm glad for this inclusion, but I still think it wasn't frequent enough to justify the fact for a C run.
Hmm.
So toss it to you.
Yeah, fully agree.
Full on. Okay. All right. Then
I already said my things about it. I didn't think it was. I mean, yeah, I could definitely see what you mean, where it definitely is a welcome addition, but it's just for me. It's probably because I knew the lore. It was pointless for me. But yeah, for newcomers that don't really know much of the lore, it's probably good for them.
True, but the thing is that I don't ever want to measure this game by how much of the knowledge you have from the outside. I would always want to measure it as what's in the game. So this does include stuff that, of course, that since we know the lore, like we would know, but there are so many people who play the game that don't know any of that.
Yeah,
So
a lot of it's
the
behind the
more
scenes, so it's kind of hard for someone to go in knowing everything that happened from, like you said, 2003 onward. Like it's hard for even think there was a dragon falling from the sky. Like they
yeah,
say that once in the when you're in the mom's diary, and then if you're someone who doesn't know about Drakengard or even just that the ending E existed, you'd be like, what the fuck? What dragon? What? And that's it. Like, and it's not brought up again. So yeah.
no, that's the thing. There's only one time that
Mhm.
the dragon is brought up, actually in the game, excluding the DLC,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
whenever you are talking to the tree in the the Forest of Myth. Oh, sorry, I called it Lost Forest earlier. Whatever. The Forest of Myth, you're going and you're doing the text adventure,
Mhm.
and the tree says a dragon fell from the sky. Oh, I lost that story actually. Ah, damn, it was a good one. Like that's the
Oh, interesting. I
only
forgot about
hint
that.
that, yeah, exactly. So like the
But yeah, see,
DLC.
you'd still be confused though. You'd be like, "What does that have to do with
Mhm,
this?" You wouldn't be like, "What does a dragon have to do with anything in this kind of game?" Like, yeah, there's creatures that are shades and all that, but dragon, no. So yeah, I guess it's different for me. It's not that I do what you said, where it's like I judge a game based on the lore that it's connected to, but it's just like when I saw the scene, the lore plays in the back of my head to where I know what the whole process is. So it's just hard for me to look at it and see that as a point. But if
mhm,
I had definitely like if I saw it in Gestalt, for example, I
mhm.
would have been like, oh, okay, that's interesting because I didn't really know about Drakengard until it's weird. I did this whole thing backwards. So I started with Automata, played
Same.
Gestalt, and then I found out
Yep.
that Drakengard existed. I found out about the ending E, and I was like, wow, okay. And then now that I think about it, I have basically followed this entire story backwards. So
Same.
so if this was in Gestalt, it would have been more along what you're thinking, where it's a welcome addition. But for me, I it didn't do anything for me. I already knew what their intentions were in regards to the plan. I knew that they were having some doubts about Nier already because that's just who they are. Like I understood them like that. So
Mm.
that's all I gotta say about it, I guess. But yeah, that's interesting. I can't believe I forgot that they mentioned the dragon in the Forest of Myth. I don't even know how I forgot that.
And because even the tree forgot. Like
Yeah.
that's that's the point. Like it feels like a small little like showing of hand of like, yeah, don't worry, it's Drakengard. Okay, don't worry about that. We're moving on. Okay, bye. So that one, yeah. Devla and Popola, I'm still glad for these scenes because we really don't get that much of Devla and Popola besides the side quest that has them drunk and singing together and them as quest givers. So the fact that even though we have so much of them as characters, this feels like the only time they get to portray a character instead of them feeling like, oh yeah, they're moving the plot along, but it still feels like they're quest givers moving the plot along instead of characters moving along the plot. So
Okay, so
I
yeah,
am happy for the inclusion.
that's actually something that I remember I was gonna bring up is I was really disappointed with that because Popola is kind of a character where she talks to Nier about his decisions, like at the beginning of the game, where he says he's gonna go take down big powerful shades to get the what the hell is it called?
Sealed
Yeah,
verses.
where he says that, and she's like, be careful, whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And then I realize, hey, Devil is not saying anything in half of the stuff. She's just out singing for 24/7 all of these hours of her life. And I'm like, and by the time I beat the game completely, like ending and all that, I'm like, man, Devil still got way more involvement in the story aside from the big twist in Automata, and that wasn't even the same Devila. Like,
Yep.
they have their whole battle and everything with the machines, and I'm like, that sucks because even though they don't have a lot, Devil and Popola are still my favorite characters because I just love their designs. I love how they're the string pullers. I love their
Hmm.
singing, and it's like I really wish that with all these additions, like with the couple in Louise, and of course the short story inclusions, that they could have done even more by freshening it up, where they completely add something new, something that's not a short story, something that isn't cut content from the original, where they just give not maybe not even Devil and Popola together, but at least Devil is something because that's basically all
Yes.
she is a singing character and someone that gives you quests, and it's a shame because with the way that they act, most of all, like when they go over the twist and Devil's like, ain't the truth a bitch, huh? It's like, dude, she clearly has another side to her that you don't even get to see much of because you kill her before Popola.
Mhm.
Like, they could have really shown something fucked up in regards to how she thinks about things. Like, she could be a sadistic ass person and we didn't even know it except for that one line. Like, I just feel like there could have been more done with the twins. At least Automata gives you a taste of it, but even then, they're androids that are years and years and years and years past them to where they just shared the name and the face and some
Mhm.
guilt. So I wish at least Devila got something more than pulling her guitar strings. I mean, she pulls some fire strings. Like
Yep.
those beats are rocking, but she could have done more, and that's disappointing.
I'm telling you right now, I would never trade any amount of character development for Devla if it meant at the cost of her guitar skills.
Yeah, it'd
So,
be nice if they could combine it. Maybe they just make her an entire bard character. Like maybe you have to go on some kind of mission with her and she kills shades by making bomb ass songs. I mean that would be very comical and very stupid. But I wouldn't be surprised if Yoko Taro made some dumb goofy mission like that where her strings send shockwaves and they kill shades and they disintegrate them. But of course she wouldn't do that because they're trying to protect humanity. But it would have been funny.
okay, here I know how to get it to fit in. Make it a rhythm game because, of course, Yoko Taro likes
Oh
changing up the
Lord.
genre. So make it a side quest where it is a rhythm game where you, as Devila, have to play the music in a certain way that gets. Oh yeah, we can't kill shades because okay. Then she has to play it in a certain way that gets people their drinks in the bar. There we go, done. That's a side quest
Ooh,
right
that
there.
would actually be really interesting. I mean, the only thing is that the bar's
No, it
kind of
wouldn't.
tiny, but I mean, no,
I,
it
I
wouldn't be narratively interesting, but it would be an interesting concept to actually see play out. Like it's like Dine or Dash, but it's Devila singing or something. Like maybe her singing attracts more people into the bar to get drinks, and then maybe you make money from the minigame. But then it still doesn't solve my narrative wishes. But
yeah,
I will give it the whole benefit of the doubt that there's not much to do because all they're doing is pulling strings, but even some pointless side quests, like how we said there's no new side quests, they could have added some more stuff with them. Rather than her giving out
yeah,
quests, she could have done something where they hang out with us. Just Popola gets 75% more lines than Devila does. That's why it would just be nice if at least Devila got maybe a quest or two, because Popola has a lot. Like, she's a
mm,
main dialogue character, and Devila really isn't until the end. Like, she comes in at the end when you're ready to leave for the Shadow Lord's castle, and that's it. Otherwise, all
yeah.
of her lines are optional.
Mm-hmm.
Stinks.
No, you're not wrong. Devil and Popola are just so good that they feel underutilized. And honestly, if the fact that we got more scenes with Emil and Kaine, they could have done the same thing here. Like
Also,
that's
with how Kaine
uh,
got more scenes, she got more scenes than Nier at this point. Like she got a lot, way more than Emil even. Emil, honestly, I'd leave it to what he got, but we could have toned down on what Kaine got. Kaine got the spotlight
nope.
in this game. Like if it was,
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I'll fight you on this. More Kaine, more Kaine. Kaine.
oh no 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 no, I'm just saying like if maybe if they were like choosing who to give stuff to, I would honestly say, hey, cut down Kaine by like 5% and give Devila like a side quest or two. Not
Okay.
like that. Not like, oh yeah, cut out half of Kaine stuff. No, just like shave off the 5% of your budget for one of these little inclusions for her and give just a little dumb side quest to Devila. Just make me happy. I'm a Devila fanboy, okay? I love Devila a little more than Popola, and it's probably just because she's so underappreciated. When most people talk about Devila, they talk about Devila and Popola or just Popola. Like I don't
Yes.
see people who are strictly Devila fans. Like I love her design in Automata, for example, way more than Popola. I love her unkept kind of curly-ish hair. I love that. I love her singing. I love a lot more about Devil and Popola, but no one even sees her like that. It's just Devil and Popola. Like even on artwork, like the vinyls that they announced were coming out, on the cover, it's not just Devila, it's not just Popola, it's Devila and Popola. And I'm like, when's my girl gonna get some spotlight? She needs her own stuff. Just give her a side quest, please. Do something. Do something. Don't
Okay.
sing. I mean, keep singing, but do something. Come on.
Fair enough. 5% off of Kaine to give some to Devila. Yeah, I can get behind that. I was just thinking, like, exactly like you said. Like, what if you cut
Yeah,
half? And I was like, oh,
hell
no,
no.
hell, no, oh, no, no. Like, maybe cut out, like, the beginning of E-Run for Kaine and get closer to the action quicker and give that to Devila. Yeah, sure. I'm okay
Yeah,
with that. All right, so that's C-Run. D-Run. Waste. Absolutely useless.
yeah.
But garbage. Wait, why? Why? Anything else?
Yep. It's like I made the mistake of not saving right before the Shadow Lord room because I forgot that the run is away. So yeah, it's like that I had to basically replay that entire album, most of all with the ballroom taking so long, like I mentioned earlier.
Uh,
Yeah, that really fucking sucked. So the fact that D Run has absolutely nothing, like, come on, man. At least Automata fixes that issue where you could chapter select and go right to the
Yup.
final decision, and then there's your D Run. Like, that sucks. I mean, honestly, not to go too far in Automata, but if Automata made me replay the C route, I wouldn't be as mad as this one because at least you have A2 and 9S being significantly different to where it's not too much backtracking, but it's a little bit.
Mm.
I would say the backtracking in Automata for C run and D run, if you didn't do the chapter select, is nowhere as bad as this because you just go to the same place over and over and over again. B run, C run, D run. It sucks. So I'm definitely glad that they learned how to make it better for Automata. Chapter select is a blessing,
Yes.
and it really saddens me that they didn't put that in this game because that would have been an easy thing to include. It really would be. Most of all, when I'm someone who likes to replay some boss fights, like I would really have liked to redo that Louise boss fight without having to do a million other things. So the fact that something as essential as chapter select isn't in a remake in 2021, that's a bit of a dumb choice for me. But I don't know what they're thinking of over there.
Devil's advocate, I would only say that a chapter select wouldn't be there because I think maybe because you can tackle things a little bit differently in A run and after, where it's in different orders.
Hmm.
I don't know if for some reason they just wouldn't want to deal with implementing chapter select. We're like, oh, well, you can go and do the Louise chapter. Oh, but, well, no, that's the thing. That's dumb because they could have just made chapter select where they're like, oh, you can chapter select to this point in time. And all of them are no. Oh, okay. No. I think the annoying thing about chapter select is think of like chapter select for like Ocarina of Time because I mean
Hmm.
that's pretty much what they kind of steal with the structure of Ocarina of Time. Like there are some things that you must do before other things, but at the same time you can be in one place and choose different things. So like for example, whenever you're trying to get keys to the Shadow Lord's castle, like you cannot do the second half of the Two Brothers Weaponry quest, or at least the main quest, until you do the first part, until they send you on another one.
Hmm.
I think it might just be annoying trying to figure out how to sequence it because, like, pretty much Automata is like way more linear. It's like you need to do this, then this, then this, then
Right,
this, and
right.
this. While Gestalt and Replicant actually had moments where it's like, okay, you need to do this. You can either go to this direction or this direction. But I don't think that's true for most of the game. But there are enough instances in the game that I could see chapter select being annoying with them trying to figure out, oh, well, can you really just chapter select to this? Then does that mean that you're skipping out on everything else? Like it feels like it even me just trying to think about it, that feels like that would be already annoying to try to figure out that if someone wanted to put this in practice, they would have to put more thought into it and think, is that worth it? And then when you take it in conjunction with the fact that they're trying to remake this game, well, not remake it. That's why the thing, why they always said remaster, remake. The fact that they always had that in their mind makes me think that the idea of a chapter select would probably mess with that a little bit because at the end of the day, it still feels like they're trying to keep the exact same broken game underneath it and just
Yeah,
trying to fix and add things that feel like it would make it more tolerable.
yeah. I don't know. This whole remake is so complicated. Like, and
Yeah.
there was still Yoko Taro saying it's not a remake, it's an enhanced edition. I'm like, no, you crazy old man, it's a remake. It's by definition a remake. But then you keep these things in it, and it's like maybe it's not. I don't know anymore. It's definitely not in the level of Final Fantasy VII's kind of remake where everything's
Yeah.
different. It's like a soft remake. It's so complicated, man. This game is gonna make me drink. Just after talking about all this, I'm gonna have to drink because this game is just it's frustrating, but I love it. It's so frustrating. It's like a bratty kid. It's like a bratty kid. You love him, but he's gonna strangle you a little bit.
I accidentally almost got baited into spoiling Final Fantasy VII remake. I was like, no,
Oh no,
that's not relevant enough.
I've beaten it. I mean,
No, I mean for other people.
I mean, I guess intergrade. There's new people. Yeah.
No. No, we're not going there. Okay, listen, if we tangent out into Final Fantasy VII remake, that's going to be an entire topic, and I can't risk it. I can't risk it. So, all right, D run waste, right?
Yeah. Fuck the run. Fuck it.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, now of course because E run is hold on, not E run. Well, you went fine. Fuck it, we'll split it.
You call it E run though.
No. The thing is that I call E run the first half, and I call E ending the second half. So
Oh,
E E run can fuck right off. I hate E-Run with a passion. The fact that you're sending me back to young Nier when I already liked Punished Brother Nier, the fact that you're sending me back with my level 1 gear and I just have this little ass stick as a sword and I'm killing sheeps after a full-on combo and then maybe an extra hit after, the fact that I just have to run through everything and just start spamming through the dialogue to get to the part that I care about, fuck E-Run. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
interesting. Okay.
So that's the thing. I'm talking about everything that happens before Kaine shows up and has the moment where it finally twists and she becomes a protagonist. Like, did you? Was I the only one that hated that? Like, did you feel like you enjoyed
No,
being
I
back
mean,
to young Nier?
I just found it interesting that you hated that because, like, you do so much freaking backtracking as a older Nier. Like, I will admit that I was completely fine with it. Like after hearing three whole runs of brother older Nier saying so much shit over and over, I was with
Mm.
the fact that I could finally hear Zach Aguilar again, and he sounds so sweet and innocent. His sister's not kidnapped. It's like, wow, man, this feels nostalgic. I was just here like a few days ago, but this is nice. And then when it all, I honestly forgot because I know you told me ahead of it what to do because I was never going to really figure it out at that point.
Uh-huh.
Like when all of a sudden the airy part happens and it transitions, and then it did transition, I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot about this." I was
Yeah, no, no,
honestly,
no,
I
no.
was in the
We'll
mindset
get
that
to
I was just
no, no,
replaying all of it. Like
no.
I was just in the mindset that I was replaying the game, like just because I wanted to see part one, and then it transitions like, oh yeah, right, this is ending E. Whoops, I forgot about that.
God, you were so much more positive on that than I am because I think maybe because I am just so tired of the prologue from playing it this many times.
Hmm.
By the time that I was asked to do it again, the fact that I lost pretty much everything that made getting through the game so easy to then be reset back to one, I felt so annoyed because I was like, man, do you know how quickly I was breaking this game? Like every single boss that I was facing, I would just use the dagger sealed verse or whatever the hell it's called. I would just use that, knock out the bosses as quickly as I could once the game realized that, oh, wait, the dialogue's done. Yeah, go ahead and kill them. Like I would knock them out so quickly that I was like, yes, this is the best. I'm just running through. To send me back to one where it takes me like 10 hits to kill a sheep, I was like, this is I don't even want to do any of this. I'm just going to run past every single enemy. And every single time the game wouldn't let me run past enemies, I was like, I don't want to do this. Why are you making me do this? And I was just so annoyed the entire time until that last moment. But I want to hold off on there because I want to save our two gushing pieces
Yeah,
together.
all I can say is it's a sin to say it for me personally because I love him, but I was just really tired of Ray Chase at this point. Like
Oh,
I was just so glad to hear Zach. But I was like, Ray, I love you. I love every character you voiced that I've heard, but I'm tired of hearing your edgy voice for this game. I need to give Zach some love because honestly, a lot of people in this fan base don't weren't really big fans of Zach Aguilar's performances near,
same.
which that's sad because I think he was fine. Like I know Zach Aguilar's voice, like how he does people. Like I've seen animes that he's in and everything, and he's great. Like so it was sad to see that people were like, oh yes, Ray Chase finally, yes, because no one was all about him. And I was like, man, let me go show him some love. I can't wait to get back to that prologue again. But I definitely wasn't a fan, like you said, about the damage, like having to do way more hits on things, like being under leveled again. That definitely wasn't exciting. But for the narrative point, I was glad to be back.
Now, I just realized that technically Zach Aguilar and Young Nier are new additions, and yet somehow I didn't talk about them. I didn't like him. I didn't like him at all. I did not like it. It's okay. So that's the thing. Whenever Nier is being positive and trying to be optimistic, I very much like that. But the few moments that there were emotional scenes, I feel like he wasn't reading it properly. Where I felt like there would be an emotional moment and he still sounds really chipper and it's like this doesn't fit the scene. Like you don't sound like you have an inch of somberness in you. And of course, like I had mentioned the prostitution earlier, I don't feel like he is a character, well, at least the way he plays it, it doesn't seem like he plays a character that had a fucked up past like that.
Yeah,
So
I'll.
there's a lot of things in his performance that
Mhm.
did bother me because once again, the emotional scenes, like the entire Nier is all about the emotions, and the fact that it doesn't seem like he's able to bring it when it comes to an emotional moment, I just always felt cold against him. And at least whenever Ray Chase as punished brother Nier would talk, there are moments where, like, I think, what was it, like around the end when he's like, why would you side with the shades? Like,
Right.
that's the only line I can think of where I was like, that was done pretty badly. But most of the time that there were emotional scenes, I still bought him. The only complaint that I have is that if I want to just compare him in a vacuum, I prefer him way more than young Nier. However, Papa Nier still has the fucking crown when it comes to the voice acting for Nier. Like, he fucking killed it. So it does make me sad that both of the characters did have weaker performance than Gestalt, but at the end of the day, if there's someone who I had to pick on as being the weakest, it would absolutely be young Nier because, once again, the emotion falls flat with him whenever he really needs to bring it.
Yeah, so I'll just say in Zach Aguilar's defense, it may honestly have been that they didn't choose the right guy because, like how I mentioned, I'm familiar with him.
Mhm.
There's I'll be brief about it because I know this isn't the Weeb Hub, this isn't Weeb Place, but there's an anime.
Correct.
There's a Fate anime where he plays a character called Sieg in the dub, and Sieg is known to be a very monotone guy. Like he talks like this the entire time, and it's good because even in the Japanese version, that's how Sieg sounds. Like Zach Aguilar is perfect for playing monotone, and that's why I think maybe Nier might not have been the best choice because Nier is not someone who should have the same tone, like the same chipper tone, for example. Zach Aguilar is good at playing monotone people, whether it's that they're depressed or if they have the same upbeat tone. Even I think even the main character of Demon Slayer, he also plays him, and he does the same thing where he's mostly the same tone. Like I haven't heard any crying moments of Zach Aguilar. So maybe they could have picked a better
Some
person.
with range.
Yeah, someone that is good with flexing a lot of different emotions. Because Zach Aguilar is a great actor, but it's just a monotone. So that might have been just a mistake they made. Because Ray Chase, he definitely was the king of going different tones. I'll do even a similar comparison to him. There's a character he plays in Kingdom Hearts called the Master of Masters, and that guy, when he
Oh,
plays,
that's him?
yeah, when he plays him, he sounds wacky and crazy, and that's a completely different plane of voice acting than older Nier. So Ray Chase, on the other hand, is perfect for older Nier because he's good at sounding really fucking angry. He's good at sounding, relieved and a little happy. He has the perfect emotional range. Zach Aguilar could have been a better pick, but I was fine with him as it was. I would say for those emotional moments, it could have been better, but I'm just okay with it. And it might just be my bias because I'm used to him. If I was someone who hadn't heard Zach Aguilar before, I would have probably been pretty much in your boat where I wasn't about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anything in him because the few times that people trick me into watching anime, like, it's
Mhm.
usually going to be dubbed. Just because, like, I don't have a problem with subtitles. Most of the time, if a dub is good, I will happily go for it, but most of the time they're not. If anything, I feel like I even hate Japanese voice acting too because it feels like they're overacting too, but that's another conversation for another day. Trust me, I don't even want to touch that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just.
he's strictly an anime actor, so that's why if you're someone who plays mostly games when it comes to these voice actors, you're not going to be familiar with Zach Aguilar. Ray Chase, yeah, he's in a lot of games, like he's Noctis, he's Master of Masters, he's all that, but
Oh,
Zach,
he's Noctis?
yeah, he's Noctis, which is why
Oh.
whenever Nier sounds angry, I always think of Noctis because honestly, Ray Chase was perfect for Noctis as well. So yeah, it's like if you put Troy Baker against Zach Aguilar, like Zach Aguilar is hardly in
Uh,
anything when Troy Baker's in everything. So he probably should have just stayed with the anime train. But I can't think of who else would have been good for young Nier. I would say the sound of Zach Aguilar's voice is perfect. Like he sounds like perfectly like a younger kid. But
yes.
it's just the emotional tone. I can't think of who else would be a better suit for the vocal sounding, but there's definitely a lot of people that would do the emotional range better.
Yeah, I agree. His voice is perfect, but the problem is that whenever it matters to actually show some acting, he just falters, and
Hmm.
honestly, that just always ruins it for me.
Right.
All right, so that's that's the beginning of E-Run, along with talking about the two different characters. Now comes the positivity section because, not gonna lie, it's good to know that we're still beating up this game after we spent 8 hours jerking it off. So it's really nice to be able to spend like now 2 hours just like, no, these are the things you did wrong. Okay, we've been praising
Hmm.
you too much. It's time to bring you back down to earth. So at this point, we're going to need to get the lube out and start jerking this game off again because we're going to talk about the couple and Louise. Now, of course, the couple and Louise are additions to the game. The couple, I remember playing it and I was thinking, why is this here? Like, what is the point of this?
Hmm.
These are actually still funny scenes, so like I'm okay with it. But then when you see the turn and you see that the husband is dead in the boat that washes up to shore, I was like, oh, oh, that's how they can't just throw Louise. They needed to give it a reason. And seeing her along with the mailman, being able to see the fact that you can see it from her point of view,
Hmm.
the fact that they even included the letter in C Run, like everything about this segment has me so happy because I still can't believe that they understand the essence of Nier so well that they pluck something that was probably a half finished idea in the original that probably got cut because of either time or budget constraints, and then immediately put it back. And not only do they pick something up from a game that all that long ago that had that cut content, the fact that they did this, it fits nicely. It's new content that beautifully just is so near esque. All of this just makes you think they got it. Like they understand what the essence of near is, and it's one of those things that it has me so excited for the future of Nier because it lets me know that nothing is being lost in translation, whether if it's Platinum or if it's Toy Logic.
Hmm.
If Yoko Taro is being given a team, they understand what makes the series special, and all of that is just encapsulated in the Louise chapter.
Yeah, he definitely takes careful consideration when he's picking what team is making his game. Like that definitely shows. Like everything Louise, like I didn't find a single issue with how it paced out and everything. Like I loved it. I thought it was a very good addition, honestly, to where if I ever was to somehow subject myself to Eternal Damnation and Replay Gestalt, I would hate that it's not in there. I would hate it.
Yes. It is such a huge missing part, which honestly, it makes me so happy that I still think that I put it right around the same spot whenever we were talking about the short stories in the original
Hmm.
Spoilercast. And the fact that they even translated the feeling of the short story into the game. Like, of course, there are some details that got left behind, but the tone of the short story is so perfect in the Louise chapter that I just am left so incredulous that they nailed it. The boss fight is probably the best boss fight in the game. Like it actually feels like it has a bit of design to it. Like it
Hmm.
feels like it is a bit more gameplay than the rest of the game. Like it's so weird that this segment feels so different and yet at the same time fits just as wonderfully. This scene alone had me ready to just call this my game of the year because everything else I liked it, but the gameplay and soundtrack weren't going to be enough to make me think like, yeah, you know what, this is something I love above all else. I still probably would have, but I mean, the Louise chapter was just so good that it put it over the top to me where I was like, no, I legitimately love this game, and I don't feel like I need to caveat that like I did with Replicant and Gestalt.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right. Anything else, or
No,
are we good with?
that's 100% agreeing.
Oh, beautiful. All right. I'm not gonna lie. Every time that I hear just a full on degree, I'm like, damn, I fucking nailed it.
Yeah,
All right. Ending E. My
the
God.
juicy juice.
My God. By the way, let's just go for my only question. Since you know a little bit more about the background with Drakengard 1 and 3 and
Mhm.
how they have an importance on flowers, what was the flower at the end? Or is that just like a flourish?
So The only thing I can think of is that the flower is reminiscent of Zero turning into a flower because it's honestly a colossal flower.
Mm,
I couldn't really, I mean, because they're both even white flowers, but
mm,
I couldn't really tell anything that stood out. Like I said, the only thing when I saw it, I was like, oh, hey, it's just like that really awful final boss in Drakengard 3 fucking rhythm game. And I was like, please don't turn into a rhythm game. Please just keep being a cutscene. Don't give me PTSD. Yeah, I think it was like a giant lunar tear, but it still resembles the flower that was in Zero's eyes. So it could be either or, it could be both. I mean, I don't remember. I don't think that the flower in Zero's eye was a lunar tear. Like it doesn't look exactly like it, but it's kind of
mm,
close. So
mm.
I don't know if they were going for something in particular. I mean, maybe they'll say it in the interview one day, but it's pretty vague.
Yeah, okay, because the flower, honestly, I didn't know what to make of it. I was just thinking, oh, it's a little flourish thing. I'm pretty sure if I figure it out later on, I'll make mention of it. But at the moment, it just kind of seems like, well, you have a flower thing going on, so I guess, sure,
I think it's
whatever.
just that flowers are so often symbolism and Nier and Drakengard's word. That's just what they wanted to do. Who knows?
Yeah, but the question is, what do they symbolize? I'm pretty sure I'm
I can
not gonna know what it
I
is.
can say to be really cheesy, it symbolizes
What, rebirth?
birth. Yeah, because well, I don't know if you know this specifically, but because I know you told me a bit of what you know about Drakengard 3, but as soon as the flower latches itself onto Zero's eye, her and Toner's sisters are born, and of course,
Oh,
when they all go back into her at the end, they're all in a flower. So like they're going back where they came from, which is the flower, which was born just like how, of course, our younger Nier, which I don't know why the fuck it's younger Nier, but he's reborn out of the flower. So maybe lunar tears and flowers represent birth. The only thing I can't think of in regards to that is how when you revisit Kaine's shack in Automata, there's a million bajillion lunar tears, but nothing's being born there. In fact, that's a dead place. Like, you know, no one's there. So I don't know.
okay.
But
I
for most
think
of
you
the
nailed it,
yeah,
though.
for most of
That's
the
the thing.
evidence, I'd say it's probably something to do with birth, but there's nothing solid there.
No, that I feel like that's solid enough because, like you were mentioning, that the flower in Zero's eye
Oh, well, I
was
mean,
what
like a
gave birth to
solid.
the
There's no
sisters.
solid confirmation, like
Oh,
Yokotaro hasn't said, yeah, that's it. But yeah,
oh well, come on. How many times has he said yes? Like that's it. Like how many times?
yeah, I get what you mean. But though, to be fair, Drakengard 3 is really old, so I feel like maybe he could have said something like that because once we got the automata, there's the title screen had the lunar tear on it, so it's like, okay, what's the deal with these flowers? The lunar tear was something to do with Yona. What the hell does it have to do with this game? So, but yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's probably what it is, but that's the only thing I can think of because he's literally coming out of the center of the flower, and it's about the same size. Have you seen what the flower looks like at the end of Drake and Earthly? Like, have you seen it at all? With
In my head, I can picture it, but I
it's it,
wouldn't be able to
it's
be
roughly
accurate
the
about it.
same size, like except that instead of it being like a little person, it's literally a statue of Zero that's about the size of the flower, and it's that big going over buildings. So it's roughly the same in terms of the two flowers combined, but we just can't tell if it's lunar tier or if it's zeros. But it wouldn't make sense if it's zero because she's still in the Drakengard branch. Like she's not in the
Mhm.
Nier branch. So I don't know. Maybe Yokotaro was a thing for flowers and they signal rebirth. That's all we can really
Yeah,
think of.
that's fair enough for me. I mean, maybe it's just that Nier is just an important person in this world because, of course, he's the Shadow Lord. He had all the Maso and all that. I wouldn't be shocked if
Person
the
that can prevent
tree was
genocide. Very important.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's not. He fucker did it. He absolutely fucking did it. But I'm willing to buy that now as an explanation that flowers are already a common theme. They always involve
Mhm.
birth, so I wouldn't be shocked if Nier being such an important person to the world, the flower coming back is kind of like a symbolization of like, oh no, he's back now. So I'm completely okay with that. Ending E, being able to play as Kaine. Wow. Oh my god, I was so excited.
Oh
I
wait.
like
One thing I do need to
mm,
say is
mm.
I wonder if anyone saw that giant ass flower and was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like that was bigger than mountains. Like the
Hmm.
platforms that they're on are relatively tiny, so you gotta wonder if maybe villagers saw that there was like these big ass flower petals coming out, and they're like, "What the fuck? You know what? Shades exist. You know, there's magic. Fuck it. Now we just have giant flowers. That's what this has turned into. Oh, hey, there's a Nier's in there, and he's younger, and he's thinking, oh, yeah, well, okay, yeah, this is the world we live in. Yeah."
Not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure that's how it would get explained. Everyone would just be like, "Oh."
Oh.
I mean, it's nothing weirder than anything
Yeah,
else,
it's
so
something
I
weirder
guess.
than completely rabid monsters that are like speaking saying a lot of gibberish whenever you kill them. You know, I don't know. It's such an interesting world that he's made, where just a giant flower like that can be something so casually shrugged off. Like again, like without going into automata too much, it's like suddenly aliens attacked. Oh yeah, cool aliens. That's cool. You know, it's so
Thank you, Yoko.
casual. It's so casual. But yeah, playing as Kaine, that like I knew it was coming, like I could tell because of ending E. But as soon as the cutscene ends and you get to play as her,
Yes.
I was like, oh my god, dude, holy shit, I'm playing as Kaine! Ah! And I did like a thing where I like ran around in a circle as her and made her do the Naruto run, and I was like, oh my god, dude, this is so fucking good! And then it took me a good 10 minutes before I actually went to go do something.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, just because I'm getting actually ahead of myself, that cutscene where Kaine is floating down in the darkness, I
Yeah.
was thinking, I'm just so tired. I just want to be done. Because I was thinking that she was going to come back up, and I thought that's when it was going to start.
Hmm.
So I was like, I know I'm getting close. Just please end it. But then seeing Nier's hand immediately disappear and she falls deeper, I was like, it's happening. It's happening. Oh my God, we're finally getting into
Yeah,
good shit.
that's when I was like, "Oh yeah, this is ending E." I totally forgot about that. I thought I was replaying it. As soon as his hair disappears, like, "Oh yeah, right, I was doing this."
And then she wakes up, and you can just tell that she has like a depression hangover. I was like, this is the fucking best. And it plays out so much like the short
Yeah,
story. She goes
it
out,
was
she kills
really
some
good.
shades.
Yeah, because you could tell that she saw what we saw with his hand experience. Like, yeah, that would really fuck with me if I keep seeing this person that I can't remember constantly in my dream, and it's like, who the fuck are you? I need to know. Like, they definitely did a good job of showing that visually.
Yeah, like I am just so impressed again that they understood the short story to ending E, put in hooks for Automata, and honestly, I don't even think the hooks to Automata were that much. I just feel like all they did was recontextualize the stuff that was already in ending E.
Yeah, what I can say that hooks is, of course, the song that we gushed about. The
Oh,
designs of the two newcomers, they look very Yorha-y. Of course, the design in the tree, like the very
yes.
factory look with all the pipes, that definitely made me think of the alien ship that you go into in Automata, and you find out everything that happened with Adam and Eve. It looked exactly like that. So I was just like, oh my god, dude, I'm getting whiplash. Like I am thinking of dead aliens. It's like, is there gonna be some dead aliens in here or something? I was like, whoa, man. I mean, yeah, there wouldn't be dead aliens, but you know what I mean. I was just like,
Yeah,
I
no.
was just like, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw aliens in here, because whoa, this looks just like Automata. Like my mind was just going a million miles an hour while the music was playing all hype, and you're sprinting down the hallway. The two dudes are talking to you, and of course, gotta say, two of Ian Highness's actors, Kira Buckland, Corey. It's just whoa, dude. It was all happening too much at once where I couldn't handle it. Kyle and Kira, I honestly, at this point when I was doing it, I forgot that they mentioned they were going to be in the game. So when I heard them, I was like, "Oh my god, dude, you can't do this to me right now. You can't be doing this to me, Yoko Taro." So it was. I had this after I beat the whole ending. I had to sit there and process a lot of it because of how much happened.
There is one thing I did want to mention since you did bring up the 2B and 9S, I guess. Not androids. I feel like androids would be the wrong term. AI, I guess, maybe the arbiters
Yeah, I would say
for the
like
tree.
machine AI kind of things. I mean, that's kind of what they were. They're machines, like
Yeah.
prototypes.
So there, I mean, that's the thing. I am firmly in the camp that that is not 2B and 9S. Basically, they are only taking that form, so it's something that we as the audience understand.
Yeah, that's
But at
just
the
what I
end
got
of
the
the
vibe
day,
of.
they are the original like they are the original 2 model and the original 9
Yeah,
model.
they're
Like I
they're the
don't
same models that they flesh out on in the play that explains, the whole Yorha
yes.
backdoor and everything. They that's what I got, is that they are Model 9 and Model 2. Those are the ones, like that Model 9 is the one that fucks everyone over. That's what I got from it.
Okay, cool. So
Which it makes sense because he kind of talks like him. Like he talks like some heartless douchebag that is completely monotone. Of course, when Kyle and Kira read off those plays, Kyle gives him a lot more of an emotion, but they do relatively talk the same. So I think they are those two original models. Granted, I know that whenever Model 2 starts talking in that play, she's definitely
mm,
fleshed out emotions. So I don't know if what happens is they learn emotions as they're studying humanity and everything, and that's how they grow consciousness, or maybe they're just early prototypes of those models, and then we see the more refined actual models in those plays. Like maybe it's like an upgraded model where they have emotions. See, that's where it gets a little vague, but they
to be
definitely
fair,
go ahead.
my assumption is that probably whenever the androids start getting made, those AIs were used as the baseline, which leads to the actual 2 model and the
That
9
that's
models
what I'm
inside.
thinking, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
because it
So
wouldn't make
it
sense if
isn't
they
in
suddenly get all these emotions.
yes. So my assumption is that probably once they actually get transferred over, that's when they tend to exhibit all of those things.
Right. Makes a lot.
So there is one thing that I did write down basically earlier on. This tells us how androids basically got made, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, that's it's. I mean, they were really cryptic with how they were talking, but when I went back to kind of skim over it, they're basically talking about it's basically setting up how the machines and the androids are made. Like they have the same core and everything, which fucks over 9S, I know, but
Mhm.
it's basically to explain all that, and I guess kind of the hint at the aliens coming too. Like kind of. It's mainly there to foreshadow everything in time. Because even when Kaine's going through it, she's like, what the fuck does this even mean? Like she doesn't understand half the shit that's going on. She just wants to find Nier. And then of course when you go into the room that looks exactly like the tower, that's where I was thinking like, yeah, this is basically just them explaining, hey, some shit's about to go down in what a few hundred years. There's gonna be aliens and shit. We're just preparing. I don't. It's weird.
Okay. What part did you feel like was hinting at the aliens? Because I don't think any of this really pointed to them.
I mean, aliens, I kind of grouped it together, like the aliens and androids and all that. Like it's grouping
Ah,
all of it together. And honestly, that clicked to me as soon as I went in the room that looked like the tower. And then you start going through all the hologram shit. Like I was thinking, okay, yeah, so this is basically pointing fingers at the fact that we're going to have all these AIs. We're going to have the whole Yorha system, which of course this looks just like the Yorha database. Like,
yeah.
when 9S goes in and he starts finding out everything, this looks exactly like that database. So
Mhm.
I think it's just not specifically pointing at aliens, but it's like, hey, androids and AI are going to happen, and of course that's going to get heavily involved with the aliens because the aliens help make those machines that the androids share a core with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole thing that's not really fleshed upon well, like how machines were made and then androids are made from the same core, but then why wouldn't they be machines? That's a bit of some gray area
Ah,
in the plot that Yoko Taro doesn't really go in detail on. Is where the split happens between machine and android because they have the exact same core.
here is where I actually feel like I wanted to get to.
Uh huh.
So earlier on, inside one of these spoiler channels, right on the Discord, I answered
Hmm.
a whole bunch of questions pretty much once it opened. And one of the question was, how do we get to androids that someone put there? And I just want to verbatim read what I wrote
Okay.
because I think it's actually pretty good, right?
Okay.
So, my assumptions with how the machine life form and androids came about is that the tree learned how to take those proto-Kaine models, merge it with the data it gathered from fighting Kaine and Emil, and eventually when the aliens attack that Emil fights between the two games, the aliens find this data and create the machine life forms. I think that the androids left that weren't Devil and Popola eventually create what would become the Yorha android troops using the machine life forms as a basis. So I think basically what they did is that those proto machines that the tree was pumping out, it refined them after finding Kaine Emil, added that data in. The aliens found this data, made the machine life forms, and then the androids that were created by humanity took the blueprint from that and then started creating the Yorha androids.
So yeah, that does make sense when you put it like that, because I remember during the encounters you have under the tree that these administrators kind of hint that you're providing valuable data with these fights. So it would
Mhm.
make sense, I guess. It would just more so be okay. So did the aliens just steal the technology and make machines? Did they basically hack everything to where they had the machines and started doing their own thing? But for the whole big picture, it does sound like that would be how it went down.
I mean, the thing is that the aliens did have technology in their ship, so I wouldn't be
Right.
shocked if they just knew how to interface with the
Because
computers.
they
Like,
basically built the whole, like, the cave that you see in Automata. They built that, and like they have their own
yeah.
little alien pods where their weird little bodies were sitting looking like squidbillies. But yeah, they definitely built, because I mean, they obviously had to have a whole armada of ships to invade us and go up against all those clones of Emil. So it's why it wouldn't have even been weird to me if they just hacked all the systems and got everything like that.
That's the thing. I don't feel like I want to hammer on that one because I feel like that's the thing. Most of the answers in Nier are usually things that you kind of have to piece
Yeah,
together to
you
figure
just have
out.
to kind of guess what it is. Yeah.
So all of this, it just makes me think that yeah, all of this kind of just fits. So I really didn't have a problem with it. And honestly, there's so many stuff here, like the tree itself, just handling all of this. Like
Yeah,
the
the
tree
tree the
was
tree is fucking nuts as a concept. Like just that, like the whole existence of the tree, like the fact that it's basically this super brain of all this technology. Like it's a damn tree in a forest where people are having these dreams that they're stuck in. Like that whole forest is fucking weird if you think about it.
honestly, what I think it is that maybe that tree, look, I'm gonna say it really stupidly, but to be
Mhm.
able to explain it well, like what if that tree just has like Wi-Fi that interferes with people's brains and starts like accidentally giving them some of the memories that the tree has?
You know, that doesn't sound very weird though. Like that sounds like a Yoko Taro concept.
I
I
know,
hate that I have
I
to
mean
say
it's
this,
more
but
stupid because I had to call it Wi-Fi. Like that's what I mean.
well, I mean, but it might be. It might just be that it's giving
No.
off some kind of frequency that has to do with connecting to
Yes.
things, and then it just like activates some 5G chip in everyone's brain and makes them stuck in a dream. Like, it's some kind of hypnosis. It's like what people think happens nowadays, where when you use a 5G phone, you get hypnotized by the government. Maybe it's like they're accidentally activating these chips in people's brains, and they're accidentally putting everyone in, hey, I'm stuck in a dream. I can talk to you,
You
but I'm stuck in a dream. I don't know how that works.
Okay, you know what? Fine. I'm just gonna say that the whole near universe is what happens when everyone got vaccinated. Okay, we're just gonna go that far. Passive Pixels is now an anti-vax podcast. I'm sorry for everyone who was on here or who wanted to be on here. I'm sorry, we're anti-vax now because
And
it
their
leads to all this.
automata is just where the conspiracy theorists are right, unfortunately.
But man, okay. So moving on from that, you get into the tree. The UI changing into automata.
Oh, that
My
gave that
God,
that fucked with me. That was one of the things where I was already having a hard time processing that everything was turning into automata, and then as soon as the HUD changed, you can ask Compulsive if you ever talked to him for some reason. He was there when it happened, and I screamed like a girl, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, it's automata! It's automata!" And he was like, "Oh, you're playing ending E, are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, this is fucking crazy, dude. I can't take this." And I said, "Oh, oh, I need help! I need help! I'm gonna have a panic attack! I can't do this!" It was so great because I love Automata's HUD system. I mean, it's that. Ooh, I was like, I even told him, I was like, they literally put this in for the people who loved Automata. They did this on purpose. I know they did it. And fuck it, they killed it. They killed it. Oh
dude.
my god. What a
I was
crazy addition.
so excited when this popped up. I was so excited because I was like, "Oh man, this is just giving me vibes of one of my favorite parts in Automata, which is when A2 goes into the machine and she starts fighting the red girls. And I was like, this is just that. This is fucking awesome. This is one of my favorite scenes in Automata, just being done with the actual A2, which is Kaine. I was like, this is great. And then they top it with giving A2 Weiss, which is pretty much what I've said this entire time, which is that A2 and Pod 142 is just Kaine and Weiss going back and forth. And they actually gave it to me. Kaine using the sealed verses to fight Hook. I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted. You're telling me you're giving me Kaine and Weiss, and they're both bantering and they're both working towards a common goal, and you can tell that they still want to give each other shit, but they're still they still really care about Nier so much that they're working
Right.
together. I was like, this is the best.
How
This is
could you forget him? What's wrong with you? You know, like he gives her shit for it. I love it.
Oh my god. Everything about this is such a realization of these two characters and understanding what made them so special that once again, I just can't believe that they understood the soul of the original game and transferred it
I
beautifully here,
know.
because those two characters together just bouncing off each other is something that is so special that had Weiss not shown back up, I don't think this ending would hit as hard as it did. It would still
Mhm.
hit hard, but bringing it up an extra level by adding Weiss was just so welcomed.
It was almost, well, we don't like to talk about this kind of movie, but it's like as impactful as the Avengers Assemble thing in Avengers Endgame, where you just see
Oh,
where you see
fine, that's
everyone
fine.
where you see everyone come together, and you know, like everyone in the theater is probably like, oh my god, that's how I was with Vice. It's like, yes, dude, Vice is here. It was perfect, like a everybody is here kind of moment, because it works perfectly. Like you said, if Vice wasn't there, it probably would not have hit as hard. But the fact that he comes all in, he's giving her shit automatically because she forgot Nier. I'm like, dude, this is so in character for Vice. I can't believe they did this.
Just that entire
'Cause
section.
you always gotta add the hussy. You gotta add a hussy. You always gotta have
Yes.
some jab at Kaine because that's his character, and god damn it, I love him for it.
These two characters, that's the thing. I will happily take whatever slice I can get of this. So A2 and Pod 142 are still great to me, but being able to get the original also just hits so well.
Hmm.
I'm only saying this because eventually, whenever the hell I do the Automata one, this is going to lead into a different conversation between Kaine A2 versus 2B, which I know where you stand. I know where I stand. We'll get there. This is just huge prologue that's probably going to get paid off like a year later. So yeah, just being able to see Kaine and Weiss together, A2 and Pod 142, 2B and Pod 142, like
Hmm.
that's going to be a conversation for later on. We're not touching that. I just felt like I need to say that now so then we can hint towards it later. But like, man, just seeing these two characters, it was just so special. I love that they even had Emil pop back up, even though the short story kind of just says that he had trouble finding his body. The game just goes, whatever, who cares? We need Emil back. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care that you stepped on his short story because that short story kind of sucked anyways. So if we can just kind of delete it and instead he found his body very easily, comes to help Kaine, and that's it, I'm in.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even think about the whole thing with Pod and A2 bickering, like, because you know I played Gestalt after Automata, and now that I really think about it, because I am gonna replay Automata very soon, that's gonna be something I'm definitely looking forward to. Is how, you know, there was just a point where she's like, "Shut up, quit talking to me," and I was like, she's basically Kaine if she just went a little more hard on her words, which is why I always wanted to see it as A2 was an unintentional reincarnation of Kaine, and now it even makes sense with all the Kaine prototypes that they use, that she just eventually was a model that was based after Kaine. Like, it makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's the thing. I'm not gonna touch this one because, like I said, Automata. Like, even if for some reason I just cancel this show entirely, Automata is getting a spoiler cast somehow. So
Yeah, and
like,
it's
I
gonna
don't know.
be probably just as long. Most of all, with the short story long and all that. That's
Jesus,
that's got an equally crazy world that's gonna be going for it.
I'm not ready for that. But either way, okay. So the whole boss fight, Kaine. Weiss showing back up, fighting Hook again, and being able to get revenge for her grandma again.
Hmm.
Honestly, it's just repurposing a boss that already exists, but I did not give a shit because we had a new version of Kaine behind it that soars the music so high,
And
and
honestly,
not
they made
only
that
that.
boss way more difficult that time too. Like I remember I almost died a couple times at that Hook. Like it was, like the times that I fought Hook throughout the story, off besides a run, it was pretty easy. But in this one, like they really ramped up the difficulty on it. I was like, hey, I dig this fight actually, even though it's a rehash. Like the stomping attacks that Hook would do sent more dangerous kinds of shockwaves this time, I swear, and the electrocution moves. Yeah, definitely handled better in this one.
I mean, the reason that they did that is because they needed to kick your ass so then Weiss can come save
Yeah,
you. And then afterwards, you start fucking running a train on him.
yeah, and that was still pretty great. I love that.
Just that entire boss fight is incredible. And the final scenes where Kaine is just like yelling to bring back Nier. Oh my god. I still can't believe how well they translated the ending to the short story where you hear snippets of Nier and Kaine is just in tears as she gets it. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of assumed that at the end of the short story that Nier didn't come back. Like I thought at the end of the short story, Kaine sees him, but then he kind of like poofs, and then she's just left alone with Emil. So where do you stand on that? Do you think the short story did end on that
Yeah, I
sadder
think
beat?
yeah, I think
Or-
the short I think they changed the ending because now that I'm remembering what you told me for it, because I remember I didn't know ending existed until you told me in the podcast. I do
Mhm.
think the ending was different, but I'm definitely glad they did a change. It's just like I said, my only thing is why the hell is he younger? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so the reason that it makes sense to me is that, of course, the whole Gestalt and replicant process, Nier's Gestalt is that age because, of course, we saw him in the prologue touch Grimoire Noir, and
Right.
he was that age. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's kind of like the gold master of Nier. And so even though they do bring them back as babies, I wouldn't be shocked if basically the tree was like, "Oh well, you kicked my ass. Thank you for all the data that you gave me. Here's Nier," and it's just like, well, here's the gold version of Nier. Like he's gonna
Yeah,
be no different than the prologue.
yeah, that's the only thing I could see because it's like it can't be. I don't want to say it's purely just because that's how old he was, because then Shadow Lord also aged as his Gestalt, so like they matched up in age. So it's got to be that it's like, yeah, this was golden era Nier or something. But hey, now Kaine has a twink BF, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, Kaine likes him a little young, so I guess she's gonna be okay with it. I hope Tyran doesn't tear that ass up because we don't need another red.
It's
We don't
like
need another red and black story.
Emil didn't really age over the 5 years, so at least now he's got someone that's his age. But then it's like, are he and Yona basically the same age around now? Like, aren't they around the same age now? Like, I'm pretty sure Yona might be taller than him at that point. Because Yona got pretty tall by the end of the game. Like, she was up to Nier's like chest area, so she might be the same height as her younger question mark brother.
So one thing that we feel like I have to mention, Yona. Yona just didn't play a fucking part in this at all.
Yeah, she was. I remember that the loading screen said that she was fangirling about Kaine visiting her. Like, yeah, Kaine came to visit me. Hell yeah! And that was it. And I was like, oh okay.
That's the thing. By the time that the game was over, I was like, oh yeah, Yona was here. Whatever, who fucking cares? So, okay. Is there anything else about E that you want to talk about, or are we pretty much good there?
I'm pretty good. Like, I just really had the gush about the song earlier, but we already knocked that out. And of course, I
Yeah.
loved Kyle and Kira coming back for honestly the perfect roles for them to be put in for this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much else.
All right, then the one thing I do want to mention because it's just a really sweet ending when you beat the game and there's a secret message. Did you see it?
I can't remember.
No. Okay, I'm gonna say that's a no. If you beat the game and you're done with ending E, and of course you get your save back, if you go and you press start on the game, you can go into settings and there's a secret message, and basically it's a casting call goodbye. Every single voice
Oh, yeah, I
actor.
remember that. Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Okay, yeah. I loved it. I loved that all of them were still in character and all of them just like were ready to say goodbye. And I'm not gonna lie, one of my favorite moments in Automata was when the two pods say thank you for playing, and they say it like just with such feeling to it that to be able to get a lighthearted version of that in Replicant just kind of felt right. Like I just love being able to hear this characters one more time before I deleted the game. Like I had already gotten the platinum, so I heard that and that was my final moments with it, and then I deleted it.
So the only thing
And
I could say is this is just me over
mm,
analyzing, but
mm,
Nier slash Zach Aguilar does say I don't remember if he says he hopes he'll see us again or if he will like see us soon. But
mm,
I was like,
no,
interesting that
no.
you say that. And but
Mm-mm.
I know there's no way, but it's just like he didn't have to say that, but he did. Yoko Taro, what are you doing? Are you gonna put him in
Well,
reincarnation or something? What you gonna do, buddy? But he's not gonna do anything. It's just
that's
funny.
the thing. I assume he would be a gotcha role. Like he wouldn't be getting his own story in Replicant. I mean, sorry, in Reincarnation.
Or I meant like a fucking another replicant game, like make
No,
another damn
no,
mainline game where
no,
there's a near Android model, like Android model
no,
ends. Who the fuck knows? And I'm like, okay, I don't need to go
no.
down that path. Let's not.
God, no, 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 no. If anything, look, I'm not even gonna speculate on what I want from Nier because honestly, I just want whatever Yoko Taro makes. All right, like at this point,
I
like
can't
I
even
just
think of
trust him.
anything. Like what? Like when you go from Gestalt slash Replicant to Automata, like if you go in that order, the plots are so chaotically different. Like you go from Gestalts and Replicants to a game that completely excludes the mention of them until you go to the library, and it's aliens and robots. Like you can't even imagine like what Near 3 could even be about. Like what if it's nothing like that at all and it's just some crazy shit like yeah, invisible mermaids or something, like it's the two games are so outlandishly different to where it's I could not even think of what like I know Near 3 is likely going to happen one day, granted many years from now because Yoko Taro is that endlessly creative, but I could not
Hmm.
guess for the life of me on what it could be about. But I do know that the main characters are gonna have white hair. That's the only thing I can tell
Yeah,
you.
that's the
And
only
that they'll, and
consistent.
that they'll wear black clothes most likely. But that's it.
I don't know if I want this idea. Most likely not.
Hmm.
But while you were talking about this, about how they're all kind of separate, Automata still technically happens in the ending of Nier. So we used to just say that Automata was after Nier's ending, but now it's after D because there's no way that E can stay canon because there's no mention of Nier later on. So I kind of hate that this was my idea. It's like, what if we saw an Automata timeline? Well, okay, not an Automata timeline, a game that was so far off, like Automata's timeline, but branching off of ending E instead of D.
What I want to say is, to be fair, Nier is only his canonical interview name, and like
Mm,
he doesn't like you choose his name, like that's why they don't audibly say it. So I go with that. Yeah, they mentioned Yona as her whole project in Automata, but it could also be that once Nier is brought back, he he is mates where he just gets involved in nothing at all, and like maybe his quest. Because the thing that I'm remembering is in the village everyone remembers just that he goes back. Like when you are about to go to the Shadow Lord's castle, everyone's talking about you bringing Yona back, but no one really mentions the whole Shadow Lord shit or Gestalt or anything. So it could be that it's because big picture wise, he didn't really matter because most of it was a whole vendetta thing where he was going after a Shadow Lord for Yona and that's it. Like he was told about Gestalts and replicants, but it didn't really change what he did. He still went and fucked up the Shadow Lord. He got Yona back once ending A and B end. He got what he wanted, and that's it. He doesn't question the whole Gestalt thing. He's just like, yeah, my little sister, I'm so glad you're here. Let me give you a head pat. You look so pretty. Yeah, awesome. Like that's it. So
well,
it might
no, but that's the thing. He's not around. Oh, wait, wait. Are you talking about like what happens after ending E or
yeah,
when?
that's why I'm thinking like maybe when ending he happens and he's revived, he just doesn't involve himself anymore with the affairs of the world because they know they fucked everyone over. To where
Hmm.
it could still happen off of ending E, and it's just that
Mm,
Nier doesn't do anything significantly afterward. Like his Automata doesn't even mention the Shadow Lord either, as far as I remember. They do mention the gestaltization and everything, but they mention Yona, but not the Shadow Lord. So it could just be that they had no reason to mention him. I mean,
so here's
the
okay. So here's where I feel like this is probably why D is technically the canon ending
mhm.
for Automata. It's because I mean, when you have that ending Y
That's
in
exactly what I was
Automata,
about to
where
say. Yeah,
yeah,
he doesn't reference that Nier ever existed. That's the only thing I can think that debunks me. So
hmm,
maybe it's another thing where it's maybe up to your interpretation until someone says otherwise. Because Yoko Taro, while he doesn't confirm a lot of things, I feel like he might be willing to confirm this if it's asked enough about which one is canon, because that's pretty important. But maybe it's an interpretation thing, but it's mostly pointing towards D. I know there's been games in the past that have this kind of issue where it's like, okay, like Drakengard 3, for example, a lot of people would think that ending A is canon, which I don't. Do you know all the different ending things that happen, or are you pretty clueless
I'm
on
clean on that.
it? Okay, so well, a certain thing happens where someone is revealed to be a thing, and then they help influence what starts Drakengard 1. But at the same time, there's also the ending E novella that also significantly introduces them. But it's like what happens in the novella could still kind of happen in that ending A, but it's just considered that ending E in the novella is canon because it goes more in detail. So, like I said, it could be interpretation. Who
Mm.
knows? Because what happens in ending D for Drakengard, that's not mentioned. Like the whole turning into a flower, there's no record of anything turns flower. Not Accord doesn't even mention it after that. Like because I know we talked about Accord a little bit,
Yeah.
but Accord doesn't really mention it. All she just mentions that's a different timelines. So that's what I could see here is there's an ending A timeline, an ending C and D timeline, which of course C does its own. So basically, A B has a timeline, C has a timeline, D has a timeline, and then E has a timeline that also kind of branches off of D. And that's the same thing with Drakengard 3 is you have an A timeline, a B, a C, a D, and then but I don't remember if ending E branches off of anything or if it's just its own thing because it's a side story about a whole other character, not Zero. So
Mm.
it's just how Yoko Taro does these things, and he didn't even give a definitive answer on that. It's just that ending
Mhm.
E shows how the Drakengard 1 part ties in. It could just branch off of ending A because that's the only time the character shows up again. So I
Mm.
don't know.
All right. I really do still hold firm on
Yeah,
my idea that ending E probably doesn't fit with Automata because it doesn't seem like even the fact that the outfit is called that A2 wears, that's Nier's outfit, that's the man who destroyed the world.
right.
Like it just sounds super vague where it's like, yeah, you do have a point with the fact that they're not mentioning him by name, but it still feels like something that is like, oh, we thought that this is the guy who did it. Like even when Kaine remembers Nier, like it sounds like it's spoken like vaguely enough that I wouldn't imagine that there are people who, if they were at the village and they started talking, be like, oh yeah, wasn't there a kid who used to do work for us? I feel like it, but then enough people would just like kind of talk themselves out of it, where they feel like it'd be a Mandela effect, where they're just like, yeah, we all for some reason think that there was a kid here, but it's just a Mandela effect. We don't remember him at all, so he probably doesn't exist.
Yeah, probably.
Mm.
I don't know. It's very. I just feel like it's up to interpretation, but I definitely get where you're coming from for sure. Like I would say, if I had to choose which one's canon, it'd probably be D, just because it makes more sense. But I
Mm.
would I would just like to imagine ending you'd be canon just because all the cool shit that happens in it. Like it's just
Yeah.
that would suck that they did all of that stuff with the administrators and all that, and then it's like it's not canon. Like damn.
Mm.
Oh well.
No, that's the thing. It's all canon. It's just different ways that it turns out. Like
Mhm.
that's the whole point of Accord in Drakengard 3. Like she's supposed to be the person that can jump across timelines. Well, not even timelines, different forks of the same timeline. And since she's the one that can jump across, it wouldn't be that inconceivable to think that all the different endings are just different ways that it could have turned out that Accord is taking notes of.
Yeah, that's actually what it is. Is she's taking note of which timeline ends which way, and then she's like, okay, which one is basically the best way to go down? Which I guess she chooses D.
Yeah, D, she's like, okay, this one leads over to Automata, which at that point,
Because it's the
yeah,
only one
humanity's
where the
gone.
flower is solved. That's the thing. Ending A, like I said, could happen to E, but then the flower isn't taken out. D is the only
Mhm.
one where the flower's whole intoner thing is solved, so that's why ending D is probably it. But then it's like, okay, so is ending E branching off of that D, or is it just completely its own thing? See,
I mean,
so
E is probably branching off of D. Like that's what it is. Like D, you can draw a straight line and going to Automata, and then like
oh no, I
from
meant
D and
Drakengard 3. I meant that. Like
oh,
the novella,
Drakengard. Oh, yeah.
like does the novella branch off of D because that character doesn't show up in any of the endings except A, and A doesn't solve the flower, so it's really weird because like he could branch off of A, and hey, the flower thing just never got solved. Fuck that, you know. I mean, it's whatever. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Then you know what? I'm not gonna touch Drakengard 3 because like right now, you probably don't know this, but I feel like I'm slowly falling out of games. Like right now, I've been watching a whole bunch of movies and I've been playing Destiny 2 more than anything else.
Hmm.
So I think like I'm slowly taking a break from gaming. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like whenever I'm ready to come back, I'm probably gonna kick off with one of the Drakengard games. So I can tell you right
That's
now,
a good idea
we will.
actually, because Drakengard 3 has a lot of weird things that it does with the multiple routes. Like it's definitely not the same as Nier, because with C and D, they happen off of A and B, but it's just like you could end at B and that's it. And then C, well
Hmm.
there you got this thing with Kaine going on. Oh, and hey, now you got this thing with the administrators. But with Drakengard 3, it's like, A, this happens. B, this happens. It doesn't happen with A. Like it's all completely different. So yeah, if you're gonna do something like that, it might be better when it's a time where you're really feeling games. If it's like right now, like I'm in a similar boat. I've actually been watching a movie every day at this point, like a lot of movies I missed in my childhood, and I'm not playing
Ooh.
games much. So that's why I'm not starting anything big. Like I started Yakuza 7, and I had that on hold a bit. I have Shin Megami Tensei 3 coming in from GameFly, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
hold on to that until I'm ready because I can't spend $50 on a lazy remaster. So I'm gonna keep that. It's gonna sit there tight. I'm gonna just play casual games I can pick up a little bit, like a Sonic game. And then when I
Mhm.
get back into my mood of gaming, I'm gonna start something pretty convoluted, like a JRPG. So if you're doing that, I would wait on Drakengard 3 because that game is just like these two, where you're gonna be talking about it a bit. Like there's some stuff that happens.
Exactly. So with all you talking about Drakengard 3, I feel like this is a good way to cap it of saying we'll be back.
Yeah, definitely.
Basically.
Don't know
All right.
when, but we will be back. And this is just the beginning of the chaotic writing of Yoko Taro. He's gonna ruin my life. He's the reason I drink. Very rarely.
It's okay. Yokotaro is the reason that Yokotaro drinks. So I'm pretty sure he can agree with you. Mugetsu, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to be here. Can't wait to talk about more Draken Nearguard. I call it Nearguard. Don't shoot me. Can't wait to
I'm
talk more
we're
about that in the future.
hold on. We're shooting people out here. We can't accept that name. Hold on. Give me a second. All right. Let's see if I can actually capture this sound. All right. We shooting people. Yeah, we
Oh,
can't let that happen.
oh God.
All right. Fair enough. Mugetsu, once again, thank you. And you know what? I'm just cutting it here. End card.
Hey, look at you. You got to the end of the episode. From episode 0 to the day that I finally get lazy and cancel the show, a big thank you to Joey Rawlings for providing the perfect name for the show. Be sure to always give him thanks, either out loud as you're listening to this, or you can just send him a thank you tweet at boogeyman117 _ That's boogeyman117, IE instead of Y, double O. Be sure that it's an underscore, not a dash, 117.